You're just moments away from a brand new episode of WTF Nation Radio's Pop Culture Warrior, hosted by the dynamic duo CQ and Radar. Pop Culture Warrior is your number one source for all things entertainment. If it's happening in TV, movies, video games, or comedy, they're all over it. And don't forget to say hi in the comments below. And while you're at it, let the boys know what you think and what you'd like to hear them talk about. Now strap in and get comfortable, because you're in for one hell of a ride. This is Pop Culture Warrior. Shots.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Welcome, one and all. Today is August 4th, and this is episode 26 of Pop Culture Warrior. This is the show where I stay up to date on all the ins and outs of what's happening in pop culture so you don't have to. I am CQ. I'm your pop culture career counselor. And with me, as always, is the, the never-ending student of pop culture, the voice of the unpop cultured, Mr. Radar. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Fucking amazing, dude. It's Tuesday.
It's
any better than that.
Tuesday. Wait. It's Tuesday. I love it. Love it. Super excited, as always, when I get to talk to you, brother. It's awesome. I'm going to raise up your volume a bit. I just realized I had you kind of low. I also have a special guest in studio today. All right? So somebody we've talked about in the past and somebody I'm very excited to introduce, guys. Hang on one second as I help him out here. 1 second. And here's our special guest.
Oh, you really got those batteries in there, didn't you?
We have Deadpool's head joining us in studio today.
Faster!
Okay, Deadpool's head.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay, I'm done.
All right, that's...
Help yourself to whatever's in the fridge.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, guys, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and there you have it.
Let me be your therapist for a minute.
He doesn't shut up, just like the real Deadpool.
What did you dream about last night?
What do you think, Radar? You getting replaced as co-host?
Dude, I fucking
Tell
love
me,
it.
is there anything missing?
Does
in
it
your
like
life?
you can program it and shit too, right?
Yeah. So here, I'll let's see. I get the app going here.
That's unusual. And how do you think that shapes you as a person?
All right, here we go. It's connecting. It's a very cute app
And
too.
what makes you think that that's the case?
Yeah, it's adorable. All right, here we go. All right.
Well, I think we made a real
So
breakthrough.
let's see. I'm gonna try to get him to
Good
give us an
work.
outburst here.
Now, pants on.
Okay, here we go. Insults.
Yes. Control my brain, Mistress Bob.
Here you go.
Ugh. You smell like Beast Lab after taco night.
All right. Here, how about a selfie? Selfie.
That's pretty fun.
So yeah, you get all these different things. You can say do outbursts.
Censored again. PG-13.
There you go. And he's like, it's hard to hold him with one hand because he wiggles and like his motors are going and whatnot. You can do all types of stuff. You can.
What are we doing? Pranking somebody?
Yeah, you can do custom
Nice.
pranks.
I'm ready when you are.
You know, you can put like you set it up to like put it in the fridge, put it in a bathroom, put it in someone's bed, and he'll react kind of to those situations. So like let's say if I was gonna put him in someone's bed.
Okay, put me on the bed and turn off the lights. Willing to bet you don't hear that often.
So yeah, and it gives you the instructions on like how to set up the prank so that it's most effective. It's pretty cool. It's a very, very, very cool thing. It has a party mode. It has a night mode. You can use it as an alarm clock. I mean, it's actually got quite a bit of features. I literally got it like 20 minutes before we got on air, so I haven't really played around with it as much yet. But yeah, very cool toy. Worth the money, and probably next week you'll see it right back there in the collection. He'll be sitting somewhere on the shelf next week once I have time to play with him. About you're just gonna sit right here and be on stage with me. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Good Deadpool. Anyway, big shout out to everybody watching. Hey guys, how you doing? I see Wallbreakers in the house. We got Mom hanging out. Jenny's there. Dino, Chad, what's up? Speaking of Chad, hey, Chad's here early. Chad's our special guest later today. He's a guy who's watched, been a big fan of the show and has seen many of the episodes. Hang on a second. I'm all kerfluffled today. Hang on. There we go. I'm like, why am I so, there it is. There we go. I'm better now. Yeah, so Chad is an awesome Army vet, and he is into so many different things, and we're going to talk to him about a lot of fun stuff in the second hour. So definitely stay tuned for that interview coming up. Yeah. What else? I feel like I'm missing something else. Anything else? I'm missing anything, Raider?
No,
No.
not really.
Shout out to those that are watching. Hey guys, thanks for it's always funny to me. First I got to thank you guys. So the voting period is over for our run at the podcast awards, and we won't hear anything for a little while. It could be 1 week, it could be 3 weeks, it could be more before we really hear if we made it into the contending round or whatever you want to call it. But thank you guys for everybody that voted and sent me the pictures and everything. I really appreciate you guys. I just wanted to give that to you first off the top. We're almost at 500 likes on the Facebook page. We're at like 496. We're 4 likes away. If you guys want to win a big mystery box filled with cool shit, get 4 more people to like the page so we can do the big giveaway. So really excited
4.
for that.
That's what we were at like last week, wasn't it? Last week we needed like 6.
I think we needed 6 last week. We got 2 this week. I've been slacking. I had a good buddy of mine came over for a couple of days, and so the usual marketing and pushing and whatnot that I usually do throughout the week to try to encourage viewership. I've been slacking this week. Plus, if you see me a little fidgety today or making grimacing faces, it's I tweaked my back real bad. So I did pop some really good stuff. So if I apologize, Chad, if our interview gets real interesting towards the end, it's because I popped some painkillers so that I could do this without grimacing the whole time. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. So all right, shout out to those on. Share the page, like the page, so we can do some giveaways, because I got a bunch of crap that I want to give out. That's not crap. It's really good stuff that I'm very excited to give out. It's better to give than receive. Anyway, what say you, sir? You ready to get your pop culture knowledge on?
Hell yeah, I'm ready to learn.
Get your learning on. All right, let's talk gaming. I have so much to talk about in gaming, so let's hit that right off the bat. Love it. All right. First up, my man, we know that new consoles are on the way, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, yes. We're aware of this. We know this. Well, let's do this. First, I gotta always bring in our buddy here. He's the mascot, the new pop culture warrior mascot, our little bobble guy. What's up, Bobble Guy? We need a name for him. We're gonna do a competition. You guys pick a name for our little dude here. I don't care. Could be silly, could be serious. I don't care. Let's get the pop culture faithful out there to name this little dude. Then we're gonna stick with that. I wanna give him a name. So we're gonna do that. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise. Not trying to get sued though.
Whatever. So he's short.
He could be.
He's short. He can act apparently.
He's very popular.
Perfect for any role.
He's gonna be Truise. Gonna spin it around. Anyway, so new systems, PS5 and Xbox. Would you believe me if I told you they've just announced a version of the PS5 that will be 24 karat gold plate, or not plated, 24 karat gold?
No, that doesn't surprise me one bit.
It wasn't surprise you one bit. All right, I've got pictures.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Could be. I mean, there's gold AK-47s for fuck's sake.
Well,
right?
That's true. That is true.
I mean, if it's gonna be good, it might as well be gold.
It's good.
Now
it ain't good unless it's gold.
Platinum Xbox and shit, just like one of them.
Oh, I know, right? It kind of matches the logo, man. I'm checking out the CQ logo up here. It kind of matches really nicely. I don't know. I might have to get me a gold system. So so as it says here, the new PS5 console plus DualSense controller plus headset, 24 karat gold have been revealed. When the PS5 launches later this year, the expectations, it will be somewhere between $400-$600. Now that's already a lot of money, especially in the current economy with the way things are. But for some, apparently that's just kind of chump change. So if you're one of these people, you may be interested in upgrading from the standard to the 24 karat gold version. It's called Truly Exquisite is the people behind this luxury PS5 item. which includes the PS5 console, the controller, and the official headset in 24 karat gold, and with platinum and 18 karat rose gold finishes. At the moment of publishing, there's no additional information. In other words, it's unclear how much this is going to cost, but it's safe to assume it's going to be very, very expensive. The company does note it will have more information on pre-orders and distribution soon. Further, in the promotional video that was attached, it suggests the console will be out around December of 2020. So there you go, man. For those of you guys that are just flooded with cash in the audience, the gold version of the PS5. I mean, that's like, do you actually play with that? If you owned one of those, like, that's a display item, right? That's like a Kardashian, I don't know, Trumpian, like that's just something you have, right? That's not something you actually use, right?
You wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so, right?
I mean, if you spent that much money, I just don't, I don't know. To me, this is something like akin to those guys that collect cars. Like, they don't collect them to drive them. They collect them to just like look pretty and have a thing that's limited or whatever. I don't know.
Do they though? I mean, like, okay, like I know there's a, and this is South Dakota though. There's a guy around here with the Lambo. He drives like nearly every day. I mean,
I mean, is that his only car or one of his only cars?
No. He's got several, but like, he's got a whatever the new Lambo, Murcielago. It's not a Murcielago. It's a newer one than that.
Yeah,
relatively new Lambo, and it's like the bright fucking orange. You know what I mean? You don't miss it, right?
Yeah, right.
And when the weather's decent, he drives it every day.
I mean, that's what I would do.
He's got an Audi R8. He's got a. I've seen him driving an R8. I've seen him driving a. He's got like a. Like what are those? It's like a Freightliner pickup or something. It's massive, all jacked up. I mean, he's probably got a couple $1 million in cars that he drives around, right?
That's
and
amazing.
he drives them. He uses them.
Ask him if he's interested.
That's probably like the exception, not the rule. I think for all those people, though.
I was gonna say, ask him if he's interested in a gold-plated PS5.
Now he'll probably get one. Well, he's kind of old. He probably won't know.
Yeah, just tell him that's what you want for Christmas. You know, befriend him, and then that's what you want for Christmas. It's a gold-plated PS5. I can't. I don't know. That blows me away. But anyway, moving on to our next. What do we have next? Oh, you know, we were talking about this a couple of weeks. I want to say a couple of weeks. Remember, we were talking about games and remakes and all these, and then somebody brought up Leisure Suit Larry. Leisure Suit Larry. And we talked about it and the game, and it got me thinking. So I was like, man, when's the last time one came out? And it turns out one came out in 2018. I totally missed it. Called Leisure Suit Larry, Wet Dreams Don't Dry is the name of the game. Yep. You know, classic point and click, you know, Leisure Suit Larry game. It was kind of like a new take on it while still trying to keep the old charm. The character even looks a little different. He's not the tiny dude that he used to be. But it, you know, keeps the that tongue-in-cheek kind of double entendre, you know, gimmicky stuff. Little erotic kind of game stuff. It was on the PC for a while, and then eventually did release on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, which I found surprising. Now, coincidentally, as I was looking into our friend Leisure Suit Larry, I found this. I'm going to pull it up. There it is. There's a sequel coming out. So a sequel to Leisure Suit Larry, Wet Dreams Don't Dry, called Leisure Suit Larry, Wet Dreams Dry Twice. So you see what they did there. Very clever, very clever. So publisher Ensemble Entertainment has announced that Leisure Suit Larry, Wet Dreams Dry Twice, a new entry in the long-running franchise, which was developed by Crazy Bunch. The title is a sequel to the 2018 game. Like the previous game, Wet Dreams Dry Twice is a point-and-click adventure in which players take the role of Larry Laffer. This time around, Larry finds himself exploring the Kahlua archipelago. They're making up words and stuff. In search of Faith, in order to finally settle down with the woman of his dreams. In that pursuit, players will be tasked with solving puzzles, collecting items that may or may not be phallic shaped. So it's very much, puzzles, platforming, the usual. As of right now, it's only been announced for PC via Steam or GOG. Wet Dreams Don't Dry, like I said before, was eventually on PlayStation and Nintendo switch. But yeah, we'll see. Now, it is set to release October 15th. The title will retail for $34.99, $35. So there you go. For all those people that we were talking about and we were saying about Leisure Suit Larry, here's your chance to get back into it. I watched the trailer for the sequel, and it was cute. It's cute, kind of like they're trying to recapture what it was without making it, I guess, so over the top, and making it a little less ridiculous, I guess. But it I don't know. It looks like if I can get like a free version, I'd play it. I don't know if I'm gonna spend $35 on it though, honestly.
Right.
Because it's for some kitties, like jokey, slight erotica, weird loser guy. It's just weird. It's a weird series, man. I remember playing it when I was young. And hey, Ruben in the chat says, what do you think about the PS5 versus the Xbox? Man, we've talked about that ad nauseum at this point. I'll get the Xbox just because I prefer Xbox, but I think that they're practically identical. I mean, the difference in specs is getting down to the point where it's like the difference of pixels and the difference of milliseconds in speed. So I really think when it boils down to it, they're going to be practically the same. And yeah, I think it comes down to a preference point at this point. It really is, do you prefer the PlayStation exclusives or the Xbox exclusives? And do you prefer, like for me, the controller? The Xbox controller just feels better. Although I haven't got my hands on the PS5 controller yet. So maybe I like the new PS5 controller. I don't know. But I've always been more of a fan of Xbox. And rumor has it, Microsoft is moving towards a free-to-play multiplayer. So we'll see. I would love to see them drop that whole Xbox Live, subscription fee. So there's a rumor that it might happen. So that'll be interesting. So thanks for your question, Ruben. Appreciate it, man. Keep them coming. So, what is next? Let's get Larry off the screen. So yeah,
don't get Larry off the screen. Leave him on there all the time.
All the time. Leisure Suit Larry. So what are your thoughts? You got any thoughts on Larry?
Man, same deal. If it's a free to play, if it's like on Game Pass or some shit,
yeah,
I'd probably play it.
Yeah,
man,
I agree with you. See, Chris is watching. Hey, man, welcome, Chris. Thanks for watching.
It might be fun though. It might be kind of cool. It's like The Sims though too. Like my kids, and actually I was really happy at them. They're like, we want to play The Sims. Dad, can we play The Sims? I was like, you guys want to play The Sims? All right, cool.
That's awesome.
Whatever.
That's awesome. That's the greatest. So a game I'm very excited for, and I have a surprise about it, but I'm gonna hold off. I'm a teasy, guys. We're gonna pocket this surprise for another time. But Marvel's Avengers, the new video game, is coming out soon. It comes out September 4th, so 1 month away. Well, they've already talked about that the game's gonna have all these. You can play all these different Marvel characters. They're going to be releasing DLC, and they said for now the majority of the DLC they've announced is free. So that's awesome. They're just gonna pump out post-launch DLC that'll have free updates. Like Hawkeye is gonna be a post-launch DLC character that will be free, and they're gonna add in, like, you don't just get the character, but like they'll have special missions and they'll have a backstory and have all this stuff. So that's awesome. That makes me happy. What doesn't make me happy, for those that don't know, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man will not be included in the game. And it was just announced that he will be a DLC post-launch, a free DLC post-launch. but exclusively for the PlayStation. You will only be able to play as Spider-Man if you're playing on the PlayStation. So obviously, that hits me where it hurts. That hits me right here, right in the center. I don't like it. I don't like it. They did so. PlayStation did announce that Spider-Man will be added to the playable roster in early 2021 at no additional cost to anyone who owns the base game, and it will be exclusive to PlayStation owners. So I'm a little hurt by that. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes me kind of sad.
Yeah, I was very excited for the game, and I had noticed there was a very stark lacking of Spider-Man in any of the promotional material. So I was kind of like, maybe they couldn't, for whatever reason, the rights or whatever. And well, it turns out they were sitting on it so that PlayStation can get an exclusive. So,
oh, dirty cocksuckers.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. I don't appreciate this, Sony. I see what you did there. I don't like it. But
and I don't think it's still not enough to make me want to go buy a PlayStation.
Well, right
about it.
Right. I mean, come on. If you're gonna get a whole different system so you can play one character as an add-on to another to a game, you got bigger problems. But now if you're saying I'm getting it because I want to play Spider-Man, like when they release the game Spider-Man, that's gonna be I'm still praying that at some point they release it on Xbox, but I know it's a super long shot, super long shot. I'll say this. So we mentioned an exclusive for PlayStation. So let's talk an exclusive for Xbox, right? To balance the scales. And one that everyone is talking about, Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite obviously being an exclusive to the Xbox. Now, there is an interesting rumor coming out that suggests that Halo Infinite's multiplayer will be free to play.
Ooh.
So think, like Modern Warfare did with the Warzone edition, right? So where it's like it is the same game, but Warzone's free to play, whereas the base game you have to pay to play. There's a rumor that Halo is going to do the same thing for Xbox. They're going to do, you buy the game if you want single player and multiplayer or some version of multiplayer, but that the multiplayer, I guess, almost like I don't know if it's gonna be the battle royale style or it's gonna be the classic multiplayer, but they're saying it'll be free to play when the game launches. So the rumor comes from retailer Smith Toys. This site also suggests that the game will support 120 FPS, so 120 frames per second. That's the rumor. That would be very cool because obviously, console games have struggled between, getting past 30 frames per second, only recently pushing into the 60. So for it to be able to play at 120 frames per second, I mean, that would be an incredible feat. It is only a rumor right now, but that would be it. That'd be interesting. The idea of Halo Infinite going free to play, it might seem like it's not possible, but it does make sense. If you look at what Microsoft and 343 Studios, who created the game, they've revealed about the game so far. If you think about it, they said that they plan to. This really got me interested because they said they plan to support the game through updates over the next 10 years, right? They don't plan on making a Halo sequel. They're just going to keep updating this game and making this game the definitive version of the game. So if you think about it, games that aren't free to play have obviously embraced DLC. The idea of getting like as many years worth of updates and stuff, that they can. But it would make sense if they're going to go free to play. It would make sense over the long term. They'll make more money. You get what I'm saying? Like, when you buy a game and you're playing the multiplayer, and they're gonna get you with a couple DLCs, or they're gonna get you the base price, and after a year or so they're gonna announce a sequel. That game is now gone. They're not wringing out as much money as they can. You look at games like Fortnite, PUBG. These guys are raking in like billions of dollars off the same game that they're just releasing updates for. So I think that's what they want to do with Halo. They want to make it a free-to-play, obviously the multiplayer versus the single player, make it free-to-play, and then just start. They said they're gonna be free updates. Well, they didn't really say free updates. They alluded it was gonna be free updates, but they said updates. And so yeah, I don't know, man. I could you see yourself playing Halo, right, for the next 10 years?
10 might be pushing it.
Mm.
But okay, I'll say that like I've I can't believe I say this out loud sometimes, but I play World of Tanks, and I played it for a long time.
Yep.
I've actually like I had it on the 360. That's how long I've played World of Tanks.
Mm.
And yeah, it was 6 years, 6.5 years now. I've been playing World of Tanks. I don't play it nonstop. It's not my only. It's just every now and again and pop on them, play a couple hours kind of deal. But that's a rarity to me. I get bored with games. I do. Even like PUBG, and although I play it every now and again. I've got like 4 or 5 that I kind of roll back to, and PUBG's one of them. World of Tanks is one of them. But at 6.5 years, like the high points of the game make me want to play.
Mm-hmm.
But then I play for a couple hours and remember why I don't play it that much. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
it absolutely does.
I think in order for them to say we'll push it out 5 years. I think 5 years would be a lot. But look at GTA 5 though.
Yep.
GTA 5 is what 6 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
People still playing it,
and it's got still quite the following. So I mean, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'd be tough for them to really, really kind of burn the midnight oil with it, and keep it relevant and keep the fuck. I'm sure if you get on Xbox Live right now, there's people still playing Call of Duty Ghosts, right?
Sure.
People will still play the game.
If the servers are still online, there's somebody playing the game. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I remember reading the stories of where they finally wanted to turn off the Halo 2 servers. So these guys did like a sit-in where they couldn't turn off the servers until the last guy had logged off. Mm-hmm. So at some point, they had closed. It's almost like closing the gate. Nobody new could come in, but there were people that were just kind of like sitting on the server just to make sure, and they got like an extra week out of it or something like that. Like just because they were doing this weird like Halo 2 sit-in, and little by little people kept dropping off until finally the last guy got out and they shut down the server. But yeah, I do agree with you on that one. Absolutely.
And I don't know. It's possible. I'm not gonna say it's not possible.
Yeah.
But is it something that really?
I think like everything else, they promise you the world and they'll slowly back off of it by the time release comes, and then within, like you said, 4 or 5 years, people have moved on and they'll shut it down eventually. But I mean,
if you get 5 years out of it and you get some DLC and you get some cool things, and here's the other thing. This is where it kind of becomes up to developers, because you can keep adding to the game, right? Add new maps, add whatever, add new characters, add new weapons, add new, right? Mm-hmm. At some point, it becomes a whole new. All the stuff that used to develop a new game. If you use that development time to upgrade the game that you have and basically turn it into a new game and have it evolve little by little over the years until the product, like World of Tanks has done that. If you were to take a video from 5 years ago to the video now, it's 2 completely different games.
Sure.
Some of the tanks are the same, but even a lot of the tanks they've taken out and changed, and they constantly balance and rebalance and add new maps and take out old maps and all of these things, or they rework something, or the gameplay is drastically different. They add things and they keep it fresh, they update it. That's why it actually still has quite a gameplay, quite a following yet.
Yeah.
Part of it is being free to play. I mean, not something addictive. People are cheap. You know what I mean? Like, but if you do something like that with a game like Halo, or GTA does it as well. Add new things. PUBG or Fortnite. Look at all the shit Fortnite adds constantly. Fortnite is constantly adding and evolving and having special events. And like the kids are like, oh look, I can be fucking Iron Man this week, and like all different kinds of shit. Like there's Deadpool. They can be fucking Deadpool on that bitch. Like, So, I mean, you've got all these things that you can do to, if they keep it fresh, if they do the work and put in the hours that they would normally put into developing a new game, use it to refresh the old one, the possibilities are endless. It just depends on them and their.
No, I agree with you. I played Dead by Daylight a lot, and that game is now 4 years old and hasn't changed other than it's changed a lot. You know, like you said, if you've seen a video of the first gameplay versus now, it's wildly different, and it's been through free updates, and then like the only DLCs, like the only thing you pay for is when they release new characters. Like you even get the new maps for free. So like I love that game just because of that, and just because you said the guy's name, he has to appear. So, Yeah.
Have I ever told you how I lost my body? Dazzler's new album really rocks your face off!
Okay, yeah. Easy. All right, easy there, guy. Jesus, this guy wiggles around. It's hard to hold. Like, it's easier when he's set down because then he can move around. But when you're holding him, it's like wildly throws his weight everywhere. Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree. And real quick, because we got him on. I see him hanging around in the chats. A special shout out to a loyal fan, a guy who loves to brag that he was on the Facebook page. He was the first top fan, like he has the top fan badge. So King Smith, I know, is out there. Guys, wish him a happy birthday. Today's his birthday, so it's his birthday, and he's over here hanging out with us on Pop Culture Warriors. So thank you, King. Happy birthday, bud, and
happy birthday and stuff.
Enjoy your top badge. But if you keep teasing people about it, I'm going to take it away, just so you know. So, but for today, since it's your birthday, you get to brag. But anyway, so there you go. And if you have a special birthday coming up, let us know in the chats, and we'll shout you out too. Like a radio DJ now. Kind of.
Ooh, there's a very special birthday coming up next week.
Ooh, whose birthday's next week?
Fucking mine.
Red Heart's birthday. Dude, we gotta have a cake. What day?
Saturday, 15th.
Saturday the 15th. All right, we're gonna everybody in the chats. We're gonna sing to Radar on his birthday. I'm gonna get Deadpool to sing to you for your birthday.
You guys are gonna call me on my fucking birthday.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Like, hey, Radar, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
We'll be all
Deadpool.
drunk in the backyard because we're gonna have like a. So next week is the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally.
That's right.
And they are having it. They're like, well, there's Corona and shit, but we're all bikers. We're way tougher than some shitty virus.
So you ready for cases to spike in your area?
Yeah. So we're gonna do that. But I'm gonna be. I got family coming in and stuff like that, so I'm gonna get all. That's all barbecued up and gonna smoke something. Not DA-214 required. But,
right.
Probably not. Probably gonna smoke like a
remember
brisket.
to wear your Mop 4 gear, and you'll be all right. Full covering, duct tape the joints. You'll be good to go. You'll be fine. All right. So we talked Halo. We talked PlayStation. We talked Xbox. Here's a cool thing that I'm actually really psyched about, but hesitantly psyched about. So everybody knows, like, if you want to play a baseball game or you want to play a soccer game or like a lot of different games, right? There's like the EA way, right? The EA owns like every licensing for everything, but there's a lot of other options. There's other games doing the same thing. When it comes to football, EA like locked up had all the exclusive rights to anything related to NFL simulation video games. And that still goes to 2025, right? So there wasn't set to be any competition for a while. I was a big fan of back when 2K used to make NFL games, and so they can still make other NFL games. They just can't be NFL simulated. So you can't have players, likenesses, names, team likenesses or names, stadium likenesses or names. Division, like it had to be ridiculous. Like if you wanted to put like NFL Blitz, you know what I mean? Or it couldn't even call it NFL Blitz because NFL is the logo. So you couldn't do anything like that. Well, recently, during the off season, the league owners set a vote. Now they upheld the fact that EA owns the licensing rights to 2025 of all NFL simulation, but 2K just announced that an agreement was made with the NFL Players Association to include more than 2,000 NFL players in multiple new football games starting as early as next year. So it's a multi-year partnership with the NFL to produce future football-related games. Notice the key language here. The latest agreement confirms that games will feature active NFL players, names, jersey numbers, images, and likenesses. The 2K president said that we're thrilled to be working with the NFL Players Association and one team to bring the biggest and best stars in football to the games we've been working on. We want to give fans experiences that are authentic, memorable, and fun, and having a roster of real-life sports heroes through the Players Association is a huge part of delivering on that promise. Now, specific game titles, developers, release dates, all that will be announced at a later date. But I find that very interesting to know that they can't do an NFL simulation video game because of the exclusive deal with EA up to 2025, but that they can make football-related games and now use and they're very specific in the wording. Look at the word. They're players and using their numbers, or player names, jersey numbers, images, and likenesses. So that doesn't talk about stadiums. That doesn't talk about teams or divisions or really anything. It could literally be like, match make the game, but you have, Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski versus, whoever, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. You know what I mean? Like, they can make any kind of game other than a NFL simulator, like Madden. So, given that, what ridiculous style game would you like to see using actual players from the NFL? I'm gonna put you in the corner, on the hot seat.
Put me on the hot seat.
Yep.
Maybe I should unmute myself.
Yeah.
Man.
Live Sturgis Simulator 2020, now with NFL players.
I think
Sold?
that this is just me.
Okay.
This is me. I think when it comes to football players, football games, it's fucking Madden. Sorry about it. That's me. This is me being old. This is me being old. This is me having my
being all curmudgeon-y.
Mm-hmm.
Only Madden.
Only Madden. You can't have Will Smith as the genie. Like all that shit, dude. Sorry about it. There's just certain things you don't fuck with, man. There's just certain things you don't fuck with.
Right. No, agreed. Here's the thing. I'm a fan of like this. You don't want a monopoly on things, right? Speaking of which, you can do NFL Monopoly with players' likenesses now because of the agreement. But no, I want fair and open competition. I want to see. Here's the thing. I love Madden. I play it every year. But let's be honest. It's just the same game with slight better polish on it every year. And I feel like if they were actively worried about their position as the NFL game, they would up, you know what I mean? They'd up it. They would up the quality of the game, right? Fair and open competition means better quality most of the time. So I would like.
But I mean, it's an NFL game though too. I mean, how do you change it? How do you improve it? I mean, the graphics are good.
Yeah.
The gameplay is good. I mean, they've went so far as the NFL has made cameras to give you the same view of an actual football game of what you'd get on fucking Madden.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
You know what I mean? True. Like what more do you want? And that's the problem. That's where the stagnation comes in. Right. It's kind of up to Madden to EA to try to keep their fan base where they want to buy the next new one.
I agree.
And I don't know, like how do you improve on it? That's just it. Like it gets to a point where it's just so good. You can't. I mean, I think with the new consoles coming out, you're going to see a great increase in your graphics,
quality,
and the speed and all that, the smoothness,
loading times, and the better AIs and things like that. But I want to see innovation. And maybe it's because we're at the end of this console iteration, but it feels like the last 2 3 years there's been a little bit of stagnation. There hasn't like this year's Madden, for instance, the big upgrade. It's like, oh, you're gonna see better play from the linemen. Like they're gonna be more aggressive and more real to life. Like and that's pretty much it. Like everything else is just a slightly better polish. That's like the only new feature.
Right.
And I don't know. I just
But like I said, like, but I mean, when you sit there, like, I can't even think. I'm sitting here in my mind trying to be like, if I was gonna make this better, how would I make it? I just can't think of a way to make it better.
it's because
I
you don't make
mean,
video games.
I don't. I
You're
don't.
not, you have no. You're not creative, man. You gotta be
I'm
creative.
not. But I mean, okay, well, you are creative. What would you change? What's one change that you would make to Madden to improve it?
Man. Damn you, Radar, for putting me on the spot. That's my
I'm
job.
just see what I mean though. Like there's really not, and they have to have some sort of gimmick to make you buy the next one
Right.
because you can trade your players and shit.
Yeah.
I have my uncle does this, and I have a friend of mine who does it as well. Like they like look and watch and keep track of the trades and shit, and like
Yeah, keep it up to
fucking
date and
make the
whatnot.
team as accurate as possible to
Yeah.
the new, you know, the new rosters and,
Yeah.
and everything. So
Well,
I mean,
it's funny. One thing they did add, I think it was last year, which I thought was really cool. You could select, you could do playbooks, right? Like I want to play the Giants playbook or Dallas's playbook, whatever. You could do what they called the live playbook, and what it would do is they analyze the plays that those teams run frequently, and week to week the playbook would change based on plays they were running. So you're more accurately playing that team's actual kind of playbook, more or less. I mean, it's not going to be a perfect system, but the idea is like, oh, if they started running the ball a lot more, you'd see more running plays. If they started, targeting a specific receiver more, you'd see more plays to that receiver and things like that. So little things like that are nice. They're little additions. That was one of them last year. But yeah, we something, and I think you're right. I think they've reached kind of a critical point where it's like, man, how do we make it better? Like what can we possibly do to improve it? There hasn't been an update or an upgrade to the franchise mode, which is the one I play the most, but they haven't updated the franchise mode in at least 4 years. And it's part of it could be like, because franchise mode is perfect, but the reality is there's always, upgrades you can do.
but
Yeah.
it's just not perfect. There's always things you can change.
Yeah.
Right.
Always little things you can mess around with, but all right. Enough Madden talk. But we were talking about EA, so we're gonna jump to one more EA little tidbit here, which would be again, this is a what if. This is a rumor mill. I'll be the first to admit it's a rumor mill. But what if? So WB Games, which is a division that owns like multiple studios, including like there's a WB Games in Boston. There's a UK version. There's like a bunch of different smaller studios, but they also own is it NetherRealm Studios, Rocksteady Studios, Telltale Games, Warner Brothers Montreal. Like that's all owned by WB Games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a rumor that they are reportedly putting themselves up for sale. They want to sell all of it. They're done. They want out. They want to sell all of it. Now, the latest rumor, and I'll put up this graphic here, is that EA has hinted at a possible, like that they want to acquire WB Games. Now, with an acquisition of WB Games, right, EA could get, like I said, NetherRealm Studios, Rocksteady, TT Games, Warner Brothers Montreal, so many more, and not only have those studios, but then you have the IP, right? This is the intellectual property that's like Mortal Kombat, plus any of the licensing rights that WB owns, which is Lego, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Batman, and a lot more. So, whether or not this happens, it's also reported that like studios like Activision, Take-Two Interactive, and even Microsoft are in contention to possibly bid on WB Games. And this acquisition's probably going to be in the $2 to like $4 billion. It's a huge, huge purchase. So recently, and this rumor comes because in the recent EA investor call, the CFO of EA, a guy named Blake Jorgensen, he revealed that EA is more interested than ever in not just acquiring studios, but the best studios. Now, this comment he made came when he was asked the question directly, would there ever be future acquisitions, including, big assets like WB Games? So that's all we know for now. But I think that was a very interesting choice of words, that they're not just interested in acquisition, but acquiring the best studios out there, which, you could argue that the companies that made Batman Arkham Asylum, the company that made Mortal Kombat, it's a pretty huge studio with a ton of licensing and a ton of buying power. So yeah, that could happen. Would you be interested in an EA game, right? You know how EA makes their games, and obviously they're known for their sports, EA Sports, but they've made games like Titanfall was an EA game.
Titanfall was a good game.
Titanfall was a great game. I'm thinking was it the Battlefield series or EA games, EA Dice. So a company like that having the rights to like Mortal Kombat, having the rights to the Batman, whole myth, they don't have to make a Batman Arkham Asylum. They can make any Batman game, but just the idea that they'd have that intellectual property that they could play with, Harry Potter and Game of Thrones, all that stuff. So would you be interested in an EA version of those kind of games? He asked, waiting for a response from Radar.
Can Radar hit the fucking right button? I'm like all talking. I'm like, I think it'd be fantastic. I do think it'd be fantastic. I think, God, I'm gonna go back to this though. This goes back. They have so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them realize that potential. Go do it. Go forth and be amazing.
Go forth and conquer.
EA games, EA Sports, EA video games, and then make me some cool shit.
Agreed. I like to see fair and open competition.
I do.
But I think, with a powerhouse like EA, they've got the resources. I mean, if you're going to spend $2 to $4 billion, like, you're going to want to see a good return on that investment. So you're going to have to make good games,
Yeah.
Gone are the days where you could make a crappy game and count on, reaping the benefits. There were some dark times in gamings where it's like, well, hey, we're releasing a Captain America movie. Let's just whip out a quick game, a button masher. And yeah, it got terrible reviews because they didn't really, treat it with the proper respect and time and effort that it deserved. And now games, thank God, it's gotten a lot better. And the cheap, cash-in games have gotten a lot less.
Yeah. Have they?
I believe so. It's been a while since I got suckered into a game. Maybe we're just getting smarter. Maybe I'm just getting smarter. But it's been a while since I got suckered into a game based on like, ooh, that's a franchise. That's a name I recognize. That's a thing I think I would like.
I'm gonna say this though. Like, there's been a couple of those like. They're shit games.
Well,
and they're on that Game Pass. Okay, so I didn't pay any extra money per se for the game, but it's actually been a ton. Like, there's ones like the Untitled Goose Game. You play that one?
You're talking about independent games.
You go around it, you're a goose, you honk at people, and you steal shit.
It's
like what
it's
you
like
do.
Goat Simulator, Like it's
But let me just say it. Like Goat Simulator is actually kind of fucking. But they're dumb. They're dumb. The graphics are horrible. The gameplay is shit, but they're fun.
Yeah.
For like an hour or two.
But I think those games are honest.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you accidentally got Goat Simulator expecting a AAA title. Like they're an Untitled Goose Game or Duck Game or whatever it was. Like, those are games you get what you're expecting. I'm not gonna get Farm Simulator 2020 expecting Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, that's just you I feel like games have gotten maybe better at being more honest and better at, in fact, it's the AAA titles, the ones you got to worry about, and actually EA's got a history about certain unsavory things when it comes to promising one thing and delivering something else.
Yeah, fucking Battlefield 1.
Yeah, Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs was one that I was so, when they announced it and they showed footage of it, I was like, head explosion. Now the game that came out wasn't bad per se, but it was nothing like what we were promised. And they've done that a lot. They've done that a lot.
So, and like Xbox, when Battlefield 1 came out, I was so fucking, it was right on the heels of Call of Duty World War II, right? So much potential. EA's bringing out a new Battlefield game. This is going to be amazing. Got it. Sucked major balls. Played it like 2 hours and fucking was mad I spent the money on it.
Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely true, man. That stuff. For me, I feel like it has been fewer and far between that we're having situations like that, but it still happens. But I think companies are realizing they're being held more accountable, and in the world that we live in now, where your game could get killed before it even releases based on the internet, based on people having feedback and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's it's one of those.
It's kind of one of those deals. I'm gonna say this out loud. Like when it comes to that, it's kind of like buyer beware bullshit, and this is also kind of. Okay, I bitch about, some games, right? I hate them. Hated it. Okay, one game I didn't like, and this is the first one of the series that I didn't like playing. Grand Theft Auto 5.
You didn't like Grand Theft Auto 5?
I didn't like it. I've loved him since Vice City. I just couldn't get into it. I tried to love it. I tried to love it the same as I love the rest of them. I just could not. And here it is. It's still fucking kicking ass. And it's got a huge player base. People love it. It didn't enthrall me.
So it was the story. The story didn't get to you. Like it didn't resonate.
Yeah, it was just kind of meh. And then it got real boring and repetitive. It's like, well, I'm just going to steal some more cars and like kill some more people. Like, you know what I mean? It got bored and I couldn't do it. And not saying I didn't try. I didn't. They had some cool features on it. I just was not like. I wasn't in love with it, and I couldn't put forth the time that a lot of people put forth to it.
Sure,
that's fine, but I think so. Some of this is personal preference. I mean, when it comes down to these games, I'm sure there's people out there. I'm like Battlefield 1 fucking sucks balls, and there's people out there saying, "Oh, it's the best fucking Battlefield ever." You get your reviews. I don't think not a whole lot of people are maybe saying that, but you get all these like different games and these reviews and whatnot, and some of them just bash the shit out of a game before it's ever released, or it's in beta testing, and they're like, "This is bullshit. This is the worst game to ever have fucking hit a PlayStation." And people don't buy it when it might actually, it needs some refinement maybe or whatever. It's still in beta testing. It might be good.
There's a difference between a bad game and a game that overpromised, underdelivered too. There's a big difference. Was it?
But
No Man's Sky was a real guilty game, and it's gotten better since because of the free updates. But so many people had a bad taste in their mouth. Now we're almost a break, but I wanted to bring up one last story, and it kind of ties in because we're talking about games of yesteryear. You ready for this? There is a sequel of a game, or a requel, or a reboot, or a refranchise, whatever you want to call it. There's a game that's been dormant for a long time that's making a hopefully triumphant return. Okay? Do you remember Battletoads? Remember Battletoads?
Kinda.
Where it was one of the most infuriating games of all time, in that it was unbeatable. Like there were just levels that were legitimately unbeatable. And just for here you go, for namesake, I got the top image is the classic 80s 90s Battletoads. Well, just announced Battletoads are back and are going to be releasing quite soon a new game from Dala Dlala, DLALA, what kind of name is that? Studios and Rare have been given an August 20th, that's 16 days away, release date. A surprise announcement that was just released on Friday included the news of the release date and a trailer showing off the return of Battletoads while highlighting some of the features players can expect, like single player and multiplayer components. The game supports up to 3 players at once, and it's coming to the Xbox One family of devices. Will also be Xbox Game Pass the day it launches, and will also launch on PC platform, including a Steam release. So now it's been a long time since Battletoads have been in their own property, despite making appearances in other games since it's been a while since their last mainline appearance. For those that aren't familiar with the franchise, given how long it's been, Microsoft reintroduced players to the cast of the game and the brawls players would encounter when the game releases later in August. You can check out the trailer video online. It includes a mix of puzzles, races, fights, and more. Battletoad has a lot going on. It's all wrapped up into a Saturday morning cartoon style fitting of the humor and scenarios players will encounter in the game based on, what we know about the property from the past and what we've seen in the trailer. So Battletoads is scheduled to release for Xbox One, PC, Xbox Game Pass on August 20th. So there you go, Battletoads making I watched the trailer. It's interesting. I'm very curious if kids / adults of today's market are going to enjoy the kind of gameplay that Battletoads is going to bring. Thoughts?
It'll be all right.
When we go to break, look up the trailer. Like, it's interesting. It looks like you're watching a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, that's what it reminded me of. It's very much that style, with obviously controllable brawls and things like that. But yeah, I'm just very curious. There seems to have been lately an uptick of these kind of side scroller beat 'em ups, smaller, less like open world gameplay style games coming out. We've seen like Cuphead and all these other ones that have kind of popped up, reminiscent of that nostalgic 80s 90s cartoon era. So I'm interested, and it's going to be on Game Pass, so I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to check it out. And
yeah, I'll get it for Game Pass.
Yeah.
Another one, I like Leisure Suit Larry. I wouldn't pay any money for it.
Right.
Probably.
Right.
It might be kind of, but this is where I'm like, I think it'd be fun to like get the kids to play it.
Yes. Yeah. You get and such a strange choice for like you can play up to 3 players. Like I get in the original it was like an arcade style game, and I guess they did 2 players of 3 characters. So I get that they're saying like, oh, you can play all 3 characters, but it just seems like such an odd choice. Games are always like 2 player, 4 player, or 16, 18, 20, whatever. 3 player co-op is just such a strange choice to me. I don't know. It seems
but
so
anyway,
weird.
but if it's gonna be like an Xbox Live kind of deal or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't really matter how many you have.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're not trying to split screen. You know what I mean?
Well, true. I think, but even I think you can do co-op locally up to the 3 players, because there's only 3 characters. There's only 3 Toads. So yeah, it was such a weird. I saw up to 3 players, and I was like, that's such a weird random number. But I mean, there's 3 Battletoads. If they added a 4th guy, then people would confuse it with the Ninja Turtles. Basically, that's what would happen.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Toads. What's up?
Which we do have a Ninja Turtle story we can cover later in the show. But
Later, no.
All right, but guys, that brings us up to the break. I want to thank you guys for hanging in there with us this first hour, and very excited to have our conversation with our guest coming up in the second hour. Yeah, lots more show to go, and I think it's gonna be a really cool, interesting conversation. So definitely hang around and watch as we do that. And Radar, anything to say before we jump to break?
No, let's go break.
Awesome. We'll see you guys on the other side of the break. Shots.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Right here, right now. I'm better without you. You're always on my mind. But right here, right now. I'm better without you. I've had this for some time. But right now, I know that I'm better on my
looking up and fading out. Cirrus shapes I found blow me away. Van Allen right around, pushing through. Skin is brown. Nature has us trapped in fear, so I get lost in sound. I wonder if you'll ever know why I am the way I am. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone I stood there in that middle of church with a bottle of gin in my hand. I'm looking up at the rooftop like I'm trying to find my long lost friend. My days turn to nights, my nights turn to weeks when you're living life on the road. I'm halfway back to New Orleans with a few more drinks to go. I said, tip 'em on back. Well, let's tip 'em on back. I finally made it back to Bourbon Street, picking some of them old night bars, hoping I could find myself playing music on my guitar. For the kid around, they all shouted out as the drinks began to flow. I pulled out that old guitar, then I showed them how to do-si-do. I said, tip 'em on back. Well, let's tip 'em on back. I stood there in that middle of church with a bottle of gin in my hand, looking up at the rooftop like I'm trying to find my long lost friend. Days turn to nights, but nights turn to weeks when you live a life on the road. Halfway back to New Orleans with a few more drinks to go. I said, tip 'em on back. Well, let's tip 'em on back. Well, tip 'em on back now, baby. Let's tip 'em on back now, mama. Let's tip 'em on back now, baby. Let's go, baby. Let's tip 'em on back now. Tip 'em on back now, baby. Let's tip 'em on back now, mama. Let's tip 'em on back now, baby. Let's go, baby. Let's tip 'em on back now.
Call the show now at 415-889-8367. The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. This is hour 2 of Pop Culture Warrior. I'm, of course, CQ. With me on the line is Radar, but we also have a special guest tonight. He is an Army veteran. He's an entrepreneur. He is worked with nonprofits, including creating his own nonprofit. He is going to do what I think is one of arguably the most dumbest things a person can do and try to row across the Atlantic Ocean. We have my friend, Army veteran, CHAD SEBOUR. What's up, buddy?
Hey, glad to be here, man.
Oh,
One hell of
man.
an introduction.
There's so much more. Like I gotta keep going, but I want to get into the conversation of it, right? The meat and potatoes of it. First, just for those at home that don't know you, give us a little bit. Like I said, you're an Army veteran, so give us a little bit about your military affiliation, right? Like what you do, how long you do it, why'd you do it?
Okay. Yeah, well, it was in 4 years or so. A little bit past that, I was with the 82nd Airborne, jumping out of planes, kicking down doors. I was actually in 11 Charlie, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically an infantryman that can do math and shoot mortars at people. So, yeah, did some time in Iraq, 15 months, and good times. That's about it.
Yeah. what inspired you to join? What was that aha moment? I'm gonna join, or was it
Join the
even a
military?
choice? Yeah, was it even a choice?
Man, I had wanted to be a soldier ever since I was a kid, but when it came down to it at 17, I just decided that joining the army would be better than working for my father, so I took that route,
Right on.
and it was a lot easier than working for him.
Out
To
of
be honest
curiosity, what year did you join?
2004, I think.
2004.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
2004.
I got you beat by a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah.
We already got a comment from Jason Stanford that says, on top of all that other introduction, he's short too. so, so Jason throwing some haymakers right out the gate.
Dude, Jason's short too, man. He
Wow.
doesn't have much on me.
Yeah. Well, he said he's short too, TOO. So maybe he's including himself
Oh,
in that.
right. I thought he was saying he's short too, but
He's
it
short
works
too.
either way.
I know. Take it where you can get it. All right. So military veteran. And there's so much I want to cover. Let's start off with. Obviously, we know each other. We know each other personally, and we've known each other for a few years now. And one of our shared passions has been gaming, both console and non-console, right? So board gaming, card gaming, dice gaming, things like that. You take it to a real whole nother level. I love
Yeah.
board games. I have literally over 100 board games, I think, in my house of every different type. But you take it that extra step. You're into like the hardcore tabletop like recreation. Like it's like the Dungeons and Dragons of like tabletop gaming.
Don't put me in their wheelhouse, okay? I mean, I've always been an oddball when it came to gaming. I mean, when I was 10, I was getting magazines about the Civil War, and in the back of one of those magazines was this advertisement for a PC game called Civil War Generals 2. And thank God for that, because I bought a computer just for that game. I started playing that game, and yeah, I've been playing, the odd strategy games that nobody else plays for a while now. So,
Now, give us some examples. Name some.
anything that's real-time strategy, anything PC. I tend to lean towards PC. I'm one of those. What do you call them? The PC supremacy people, or whatever you want to call it.
PC Master Race.
PC Master Race. Yes, that's me. Totally.
Yeah, and it was actually you. You were the one that actually got me into virtual reality. And that, like, for years
Oh,
I'd
right.
been fascinated by it. I tried, like, it was very it was still way too expensive for like home use. I didn't like the when you go to the mall and they had the VR setups and
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
But you were so excited when you got this like really decent setup and brought it to my house, and we goofed around with it. And after that, I was like, "Oh, I'm getting this. I'm I have to buy it now." And you kind of got me into that. So that's actually
The
my
reason
VR
why I
setup
got
right there.
that was to lose weight, man, and it works.
Yeah.
I mean, as you well know, I mean, you work up a sweat on that
Y-
thing.
You can.
Beat Saber.
Yeah.
I went out and bought two 10-pound wrist weights to put on my wrists while I'm playing. So
Mm.
yeah, dude, I got creative with
You
that.
gotta get the ankle weights, the chest. Right? Don't they have like the weighted vest? You got like the
I
weighted
didn't go that
vest.
far.
Yeah, man. You come out of that thing like just buff. But yeah, no, that's a great game, and I still beat you at so many of the records. But that's okay. That's neither here nor there. So you took, obviously, you have this very big passion for tabletop gaming. Like I said,
Yeah,
I'll never forget. I have a pretty big pool table / also ping pong table, and you covered the entirety of the thing in
Yeah.
these houses and hay bales and fences and troops and generals and all this stuff, and we played for hours, man. That stuff's
Yeah,
intense.
yeah. Well, wargaming. Think of chess times 100. Uh, I started playing I started wargaming maybe 2 years ago, and I just fell down the rabbit hole. I mean, anything that really gets my mind going and takes me all over the place, I'm into. So yeah, I started off uh, playing some games called Blood and Plunder and things like that. And if you've ever seen the 40-year-old virgin, where that one scene where he's like, "Now I'm painting your silver pants blue," yeah, that's what it is. You just line up these gaming tables with soldiers and whatnot. I mostly do historical gaming,
Hmm.
but there might be some gamers out there that do the 40K stuff. That's the really, really nerdy stuff,
He has
in
like
my opinion.
Warhammer or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of a battle that goes on between these gamers. It's kind of funny. It's like the battle of the nerds. There's the historical gamers that can't stand the 40K gamers, and they just talk shit about each other all the time. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, it's very much, Xbox versus PlayStation, where it's like it's
Sure,
90% the same,
sure.
with slight differences. And I do give you a lot of credit because, and we've had this conversation many times, that you go way more historically accurate.
Hmm.
You try to, obviously the right vehicles, obviously that match up to the right troops and the right
Hmm.
tactics and the right, you're not putting, Native Americans in like an Egyptian, background. Like the troops have to
There's
match the
yeah,
territory and all the different things of it.
the historical gamers. They really go into depth with
Hmm.
all the historical accuracies. They really do, and the rules themselves. I remember when I first showed you the rule book for that game we played called Blood and Plunder, and you were just like, "What the hell? What
Yeah.
what is this?" Like, I'm like, "No, don't panic, don't panic. It's only 200 pages long.
Yeah.
There's some pictures in there."
I remember you're like, I'm gonna explain you guys the simple rules, and like an hour later, we were like, Lou, let's just start. Let's just start the game and figure it out as we go along.
Yeah.
Because that's intense. That's intense. I give a lot of credit to the people that can do that. Hey Branko, what's up, buddy? He just said hi. Also, by the way, Jason also added a comment. He goes, I just want to point out that the dash in the queue looks like a stripper leg. Okay, cool, man. Thanks. That's nice. I'm like, I'll take it. Sure. What the hell? Um,
I
Radar
always
too.
bring up that you should bring strippers into your show, and you always shut me
You know,
down.
yeah, you have everything that I've done. Your feedback is always it's missing strippers.
But you
Uh,
can incorporate strippers in so many ways.
when
That's
Yeah.
what I'm
What?
saying.
What? Why do we not have more strippers?
Why do we not have? When I started doing stand up comedy, Chad was like, dude, you just got to figure out a way to get strippers on stage. You'll get so many more. And then I started doing the other stuff. He's like, we got to bring strippers in. And now I started this show. He's like, you're just missing strippers, bro. So I'm excited. When I eventually do a book or something, I want to hear you say, like, why didn't I incorporate more strippers into my book?
Just have a
Uh,
centerfold.
it's a centerfold
All
in the. I like that. It's gonna be me, but yeah, I'll put a centerfold in there. No, Radar. I was gonna say you're big into, like we said, war. The war tanks and things like that. So if you have any questions for a guy who does historically accurate tabletop gaming, man, feel free to jump in at any point. I know
Yeah.
you're kind of into that stuff.
Can
And
you do it with kids?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like the age group for historical gamers is like, man, these guys are in their 60s and 70s. But, that works out for me because of my company, Monopod Games, where I 3D print things and design them. They're set in their old ways. They're not going to learn how to do that. I'm going to do it for them. So I've got a really niche customer base where I can help those guys acquire what they need. And they're really specific.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, when they want a certain tank, they want a certain tank, and it's got to be this model number with this something on it.
Yeah, and it's got to be at a specific size, right? Because there's
Yeah,
different
this the
scales.
scales.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
insane.
And you kind of beat me to the punch because I was kind of leading all these questions to go that you were so passionate about this stuff that you created your own kind of company, Monopod Games, which I love. And damn it, I should have pulled the logo so that I could share the logo on screen. But I love the logo. I love the story behind it. You want to share a little bit about the story behind why Monopod Games?
Uh, yeah. Well, actually, I don't know if you knew this, but it was a mutual friend that picked that logo for us. Well, she didn't pick the logo, but Gabby.
Mm.
It was at the time my business partner that fell through, but my business partner had one leg, not a veteran by the way, but he had one leg, and everybody calls me a dwarf because of my height. So mythical German creature from back in the day is a dwarf with one leg called a monopod. So that's how we came up with that.
I love it. I love it. I think it's so on brand. It's so perfect.
It turned out really well too. The logo is spot on.
Yeah, it's
So
it's beautiful.
yeah,
In its horrendous nature, it's beautiful.
yeah,
And so the idea behind the company just being that you got really heavy into the 3D printing thing. I remember
yeah.
like the first conversation where like I have this idea that I want to get a 3D printer and like print stuff, and I was like, that's like it's expensive and it's like it's so much involved, and now you have like your own factory of printers at
Well,
this point, right?
I've got 10 printers, seven Creality Ender 3 Pros, two TiVo Tornadoes, and one Anycubic Futon 3D. Yeah.
And I've got a warp stun phaser set to level 3 in a generation 6 pod. So yeah, it's we're right there with you.
Oh, well, I mean, it took off. When I first started doing it and started, asking people if they wanted me to print for them, it just took off. And I to keep up with the product, I had to buy more printers. I mean, these things do print slow. I mean, so yeah, that's how I ended up with 10 of them. But I'm actually trying to move away from that. I mean, it is a pain in the butt. These things, a million and one things can go wrong with the 3D printer.
Right.
And you constantly have to be at home, changing them out and, putting more plastic on. And uh,
It's a
but
whole
what
thing.
I'm
And
trying to do now,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and it's also it would suck like you're 80% of the way through printing something and one little thing goes off,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that whole project's a waste. That whole hours of waiting was a waste, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've gotten, due to the COVID, I'm actually been at home quite more often than not. So I put the time to good use. I mean, I went to YouTube college and I got really good with 3D design. And so far, within a month or two, I've just been pounding away on my computer and coming up with all kinds of crazy models and whatnot. And I'm selling just the files now to 3D printers around the world. It's actually really increasing my customer base and whatnot. I wake up and like, oh wow, some guy from South Africa just bought this model from me,
Wow.
or Australia. It's been wild.
Dude, that's
So
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
I think that's part of, and we'll talk more about the different ways this applies to you, but just that part of your brain that is the entrepreneurial, that's always kind of adjusting to going, okay, this is working, this is not working. I'm going to shift focus. I'm going to, you're
yeah.
always reinventing yourself, which I love. I think it's more veterans, more people need to have that ability. And
I think that especially veterans, but I think everybody has that in them. It's just the fact that they don't take that first step and go forward with it. I mean, there's a lot of fear in it. And a lot of people are happy with working 20 years at a single job and collecting a pension after that. But, I can't do it personally.
yeah,
And nothing against people who do. But, I just have to be doing my own thing. I don't have the patience to work for somebody else. And, yeah.
yeah, because you've had in your life, and I feel like every time we talk, I find out about a new job you've done. But like just off the top, I mean, you bouncer at a strip club, like
Yeah,
private eye, like all these different things. You were worked in
I
like
love it, man.
you're in the cook, like helping cook the dishes for like it's incredible, like just how much. And I think that's such a cool thing. Too many people, like you said, are afraid to even take that first step, or already doubting themselves before, like I have an idea that I would like to do X, but
Mhm.
I'm never going to be successful at that, or I'm not, like, why even bother trying? And it's too many people have that, and you have definitely not had it, because you've gone to that. Also, you have let's talk about this, because it's just so much to talk about. You are on a team of 4 paratroopers, former paratroopers,
Yep.
and you're going to take place in this race, although it's not really a race, but it's a race that you're going to row across the Atlantic Ocean in what really it's not even, you can't even, it's not even the size of a life raft. I mean, it's a canoe. It's a slightly up to date, more modern canoe.
It is a Ferrari canoe. I mean, the thing
mean,
costs
it's
like $170,000,
yes,
$170,000, something
it
like that.
it's
Yeah,
a glorified rowboat is what it is. Okay,
absolutely.
I mean, like don't get me wrong, like solar panels and water filtration and all that, but it's like this big, barely big enough for four people.
Mhm.
And you guys are gonna row across the Atlantic. Remind me, starting where?
It is La Gomera, the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa.
Okay, and
It's where
ending.
Columbus took off
Okay, we're Columbus took off, and
on
it ends in
Antigua, the
Antigua,
Caribbean.
which I've
Yeah,
been to Antigua. Lovely place.
3,000 miles altogether.
Three
3,000 nautical
thousand
miles.
miles. 3,000
Yeah.
miles. That's and the average person. Let's say the average person that does this who is
Mm.
trained takes about how long?
I couldn't tell you the average because, and there are different teams that do it. There's people that do it solo, and there's people that do it with five-man teams. Um, Fight or Die themselves have had two veteran teams row the ocean so far, last year and the year before. 2 years ago, they made it in 54 days, and last year, they made it in 52 days.
52 days. That's
Yeah, so
like for those at home. That is 50-ish days of you're just rowing a boat. It's not a you're rowing a dinghy across the like Kaz says uphill both ways. You're rowing like through, and this isn't like a lake where it's this nice calm, like you're battling
it's
the
the ocean.
sea, you know.
Uh-huh.
First off, why? What's wrong with you? Why are you doing? Help people understand. Why do you have this cry for help to row across the ocean? What's wrong with you?
Look, man, a friend, another veteran, shared this video of these guys doing it uh, when they first did it 2 years ago, and I saw it, and I just said, I've got to do it. I can't explain why. Maybe it's just because not many people have done it. More people have been to space than who have rowed across an ocean. And I just told myself I had to do it. A bunch of us as veterans got together. We've all served together, and put together a team, and just we're going for it.
Yeah, and I remember when you first started talking about it,
Yeah.
like it was such, no offense,
Oh, people
such a
laughed.
pipe dream. It was just because you had like just seen, you're like, dude, I just saw this video. I'm gonna do it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
sure,
serious.
like sure you
Everybody
are.
else laughed or just said, "No, you're gonna die." I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, I have to. I'm being honest. I have to admit, I thought there's no way, and for a myriad of reasons. I mean, not least because like, hey, you're not exactly an Olympic rower, right? Let's be honest. And it's like this is doesn't seem up your alley in all the other things you've done. But then of course it was really more less that I didn't think you could do it, but more just like that's like saying, yeah, like you said, I'm gonna go to space. Well, it's like, well, that it's more than just you. Like you can't just decide to do it. Like there's all these other things that have to happen, and I just felt like getting, because like we've talked about this, it's a very expensive thing to do because there's the
Absolutely.
equipment, there's the insurance, there's the
You
training.
just need a plan, man. I mean, if it goes along with anything you want to do, if you set your mind to it, I think nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
Within deciding to do it, when I saw the video, I think it was maybe 3 weeks later that we put the team together, and we made ourselves look good on paper, and built a small fan base, and we actually contacted the Fight or Die team while they were out on the ocean, and we said, hey, they're all paratroopers too, and we were like, hey, we want to borrow your boat, and they're like, well, if you're crazy enough to do it, okay.
And before all this COVID stuff, like you've been part of, like you were part of the
What's
training
that?
of the you were part of the training for the last team that went out, right? Like you participated with them.
Yeah. I went down to Mobile for a month, and yeah, that was rough. I mean, and they put them through it, man. It's not just the rowing part, but the working out in Mobile during the hottest part of the year. It's hot, it's humid,
Yeah.
and then they've got a psychiatrist from Denver University go down there and test their mental stability and everything else.
Yeah.
There's a science to it, and Fight or Die seems like they're getting better and better. I think that they're actually going to start winning races, pretty soon, and it's just going to grow.
Yeah. So Kaz is in the chats, and Kaz says, so this isn't just a couple of fat dudes in a boat with some sandwiches and beer. How much has Chad been training? And really, how do you train for this?
I'm not training as much as I should. I'll admit it. With COVID and everything else in my life, starting up this new business, I could probably be in the gym a lot more than I am. But we do have a rowing instructor. The other guys are getting in great shape, and the funny thing is, you actually have to fatten up before you go out on the ocean because you lose so much weight. I think the average is 30 pounds that you drop while crossing the ocean. I mean, you're burning, as you can imagine, just a ton of calories, being 2 hours on, 2 hours off the oars each day.
Yeah, that's incredible. My biggest thing, and I think I've asked you this before, but I'll ask it for the audience. Like, what's the nighttime routine? Because I get during the day you're doing 2 hours and 2 hours on and off.
2 hours on, 2 hours off. It doesn't stop.
So throughout the entire night and everything.
Yep, throughout the entire night. I mean,
how are you sleeping? 2
2
hours at a time?
Yeah, 2 hours at a time. Obviously not, because it's not like you just get off the oars, go into your little cabin, and fall asleep, and you got to eat and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, you're exhausted. You're absolutely exhausted. I'm sure you get used to it, but 2 hours on, 2 hours off. It's what it is. What it is.
So, just for scale, for people, going from the Canary Islands to Antigua on a flight is about 23 hours and 40 minutes on a flight. So
Yeah.
now divide that by 4 former fit paratroopers rowing in a dinghy. It's a long, I was gonna say road, but watery road. I remember I saw pictures where it's like this is a picture of the guy, right before the row and then after the row, and it looks like 4 dudes that like were in a fight with Tyson.
Yeah, it looks
in
like
the sweat
Tom
lodge.
Hanks from Castaway.
Yeah, they are like, you are
They're tore up.
sunburnt, you are leathery. Like, what's the have you looked into the recovery process? Like, what's the recovery process coming out of this?
Uh, Obviously, they were quite wobbly for the first 3-4 days. When they get to Antigua, they basically have to just stay there for a while to get back on their feet. I mean, even then, uh, I think one of the guys said it was hard to put a shirt on for the first week or so because you're pretty much naked while you're out there,
Right.
and yeah, they said there. I guess like the 1,000-yard stare that veterans get sometimes. You kind of get that too.
Yeah.
Because there's really nothing to look at out on the ocean, not even a plane. So I guess that takes into effect, and you're kind of just staring off in the distance
Yeah.
quite a bit after you get back.
What are the obviously I'm going to assume that the majority of your 2-hour offs are rest, right? Or just like sleep and eat and whatever other hygiene-ish things you need to do. But like, what are the options for like entertainment? Is it like music on your headphones? Is it like tablet?
A lot of the guys have do the headphones, so music most of the time. I know my guys are loading up their iPods or whatever you call them. I haven't done that yet, but I plan on taking a lot of audiobooks with me, autobiographies,
If
and whatnot.
I might suggest, if I might be so bold as to throw out a suggestion, you can download the whole back catalog of Pop Culture Warrior and watch every episode probably like 30 times in the time it takes you to row across the Atlantic. But that might help drive the madness. I don't know. That might drive you crazy hearing my voice for 50 something days in your head. Uh, or who knows? I mean, you could come out better than ever. I don't know. Man, there's guys. If you're a lot of people watching, so if you guys have questions about this, because I know this is completely out of the norm. Like you said, more people have been to space, more people have climbed Mount Kilimanjaro than have attempted. And do you know, well, not to be morbid, but do you know, like, what's the rate that people have died attempting this?
Don't quote me on this. I know that our president of Fight or Die is a bit of a Nazi when it comes to minor details, so I'm going to hear about this later. But
More or less, ballpark.
I think it's 1 out of 300 or something like that. There was just a lady that died. I think she was a gym teacher rowing the Pacific Ocean. She died maybe 3 weeks ago doing it. I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but somehow she got cut loose from her boat, and they found her maybe a day or two later.
Yeah.
So.
Kaz suggests for your audio to download Row 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 Your Boat and just have it on loop.
Jesus. Jesus.
Yeah.
I suggested a metronome once to keep everybody in sync during their strokes.
Oh God.
And they all just like looked at me and were like, "Fuck that! No, that's like Chinese water torture."
Yeah,
like
that's
audio version of that.
That is not. Yeah, that would. I'm sure the death would not come from the ocean, but from the hands of one of the other guys. And so just now for those that don't know, not only is it, I mean, a challenge to do this as 4 guys, there are people also doing this solo, like single across the ocean. And I remember last year's, I was very keenly aware of last year's race and how they had video of one woman getting like rogue wave hit and like thrown off the boat and had to like climb back on everything.
From what I've heard, you're going to capsize. Everybody's going to capsize at least once, which can be terrifying. So it's just bound to happen. And yeah, there's a lot of other people out on the water as well. Last year we were the only American team to be doing it, but there's usually an average of, I want to say, 30 boats from all over the world that do this. A lot of Brits do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a, like, I'm inspired, man. That is such a crazy thing. I've wanted to do everything at some point.
Did you fold?
My wife would never allow me to do something like that. No, one of my biggest regrets in life, I was given the opportunity. I was asked if I wanted to partake. They wanted to send, I think it was a team of disabled veterans to the South Pole. We were gonna go over on a boat. We were gonna train, whatever, and then we were gonna climb some mountains. It was a bunch of things, and all expenses paid. And I admit it. It was one of the few times where I kind of chickened out, where I was just like, I think less to do with the challenge of it, because I've climbed mountains, I've done all that. It had more to do with just being away from everything for so long.
If I remember correctly, you weren't given that long of a window to actually prepare and go.
Yeah,
so
it was a couple months.
Would have been out of shape. And,
yeah. And it was the idea, like, this is what makes this challenge so hard for me, because I feel like if I put my mind to it and just row 2 hours on, 2 hours off, we can get it done. But I think it's the mental challenge of being unplugged from everything, being unplugged from reality, and not to say like, I'm gonna miss. Go ahead.
I've had a rower tell me once that anybody can do it. Once you decide to do it, you're already
physically
there. But it is the mental challenge of it. I mean, because the ocean's going to break you either way. No matter how physically fit you are, you're going to come back looking like Tom Hanks. It's going to destroy you. But it's all in your head, from what I've been told. So.
No, that's my thing. I know I'm not in the best shape now, but I know if you trained and you get ready, you're physically right. But it's the idea of, and not even saying like, I'm going to miss video games, or I'm going to miss Facebook, or I'm going to miss TV, but it's just the idea of like that becomes your reality. It's
Yeah.
worse than prison, right? Because in prison, there's like a sort of routine and a sort of, mix it. I'm in the yard, I'm in my cell, I'm in the chow, I'm in whatever. But this is just like, I'm either rowing or I'm right next to dudes
Well, I
rowing.
mean, how did you feel when you first touched off in Iraq or Afghanistan?
Yeah,
I mean, I picture it like that sometimes. I
yeah,
remember dropping off in Iraq the first time, and it like everybody's so gun ho, and then all of a sudden you got people briefing you on what to expect, and you're there. It's a shock, but the body adapts, man,
yeah,
and it's amazing what the human body can get used to.
yeah. Let's see. Dave in the chat says 2 hours of rowing, your shoulders and back would be killing you, let alone your neck and your lower back from supporting you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah, a lot of rowers complain more about their asses, their butts. It's
yeah,
imagine sitting on a hard seat for 12 hours a day going back and forth. I mean, these guys have callus and all kinds of salt sores on them, and they're the size of quarters, the depth of quarters, and
mm,
there's some nasty stuff that happens to your body while you're doing it for
mm.
sure.
I've all the respect in the world for you to do it. I know you're gonna do it. I know you're gonna get through it. Um,
That's the
I
hope.
hope you
Look,
don't
we've
die.
got a lot of work to do before we can get there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not just rowing an ocean. I think rowing an ocean is going to be the easy part of this. The hard part is going to be getting to the starting line,
mhm,
because before we can do that, we've got to raise money, we've got to raise awareness. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I would like to. We've talked about this before, but once that time comes, and it was supposed to be this year, and obviously with the COVID and everything, it
yeah,
got pushed to next year, correct?
yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Well, once that time comes, I would definitely love to have you and the other guys come on the show, and by then we'll do actual video and talk to you guys about it and check in with you guys and see how you're doing. And then once you guys really kick off and sail, I want to do maybe every week we're gonna do like a quick check in live to see kind of where you are on the process because it has a pretty cool feature that you can track online as the
Yeah.
boats are doing their thing. So
And supposedly we've got a donation of some really awesome gear that's going to equip us with the internet out there. I don't know how true that is, but we might be able to work some things out, definitely.
yeah, man,
So,
we'll do a quick 2 minute 5 minute call in and if we
mm,
can get you guys on and see the view from like on this side we've got water and on this side we've got the water and all the way around. But yeah, no, that would be very cool. And then hopefully we can get the exclusive, the day you guys get back in and are done
yeah,
celebrating and
have
toasting.
WTF fly you out to Antigua so you can greet us when
Yes,
we get
I
there.
will. Radar, take a memo. We're gonna do a live. I'm gonna need you guys to row in specifically on a Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So we'll
Hang
have you
off.
off the coast until like if God forbid you get near on a Wednesday. We're like, well, shit, we're gonna have to coast for the next week. But we'll have you come in right on a Tuesday at 9 p.m. and then we'll have you guys we'll have you guys take it, do the interview
No,
there.
I'm not trying to doubt your guys' ability to do this. But if in the event something happens, is there's like some kind of support that you guys have?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah, somebody can get to us within 7 days. So.
oh, I mean, that sounds fair.
I mean, oh look, I want to say, and don't quote me on the times again. I know the president of Fighter Die is going to bite my head off after this. I can't remember, but I think it's within 3 days. The follow boat should be able to get to you. If they can't get to you quicker, if there's any other ship in the area that can get to you, they get to you. But it can last up to a week before anybody can reach you.
Right,
It's
because there's like one. I think you remember you telling me there's like one big, I don't know, not Coast Guard, but whatever international rescue boat that's like trailing
no,
behind everybody.
no, it's a sailboat. It's not that big. I think it's like 60 footer or something like that. But
Wow.
it's a sailboat that goes in between all the boats. But the boats are so spread out for, sometimes thousands of miles.
Right.
It's a 3,000 mile expanse. So, And you've got some people winning the race in 27 days, and some people all the way out to 70 days. So you can imagine the gap in between all those boats.
Right. Right. So if you're gonna have a problem, you kind of want to have it like right out the gate, so that like all the boats are close together before they start spreading out, right?
Yeah, yeah, but we're not going to have a problem. Even if we do have a problem, we're not going to have a problem. If our rudder falls off, which happens to a lot of boats, and they just have to give up, but we're not going to do that. I am going to tie 550 cord to an oar, take a hacksaw to the oar, and use that as a rudder if I have to. If I have to, I'll strap myself to the back of the boat and use myself as a rudder.
I was gonna say
We're
you're
gonna
you're
make it
kind of
one
the
way or
right
the other.
size. You're kind of the right size. You just use you as an udder. I mean, I can't imagine you're adding that much, effort to the rowing part. So you gotta useful for something. Yeah. Mom actually put in the chat. She says, "Will you have a volleyball named Wilson with you?"
You know, I don't I don't think we're gonna steal Tom Hanks' idea, but we're definitely gonna do something like that, I imagine.
You gotta have something. You gotta have some type of. I'm gonna get you
I'm
I'm
open to suggestions.
gonna get you a
So,
bobblehead. I'm gonna get you one of these pop culture warrior bobbleheads we're gonna create, and that can be your little rowing buddy. You can
You could borrow him your head.
yeah, when you go crazy, that'll be the guy you can talk to.
yeah, that's not a bad idea for a sponsorship initiative.
I mean,
It could,
hey, WTF, man, we'd love to have our name on the boat, on the fight or die boat somewhere. Little
yeah, we
WTF
can talk.
Nation Radio sticker there somewhere. But yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk. All right, because we're cut. Man, the time flies. We're coming short on time. I do want to touch on one last thing. Another venture that you're involved in. Another thing that you excel at. Your mom is a realtor, right? She has a wonderful training academy, real estate training
Yeah, I
academy.
come from a whole family of realtors.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
sadly.
so you actually helped me buy this lovely home I'm in.
Yeah,
You do that as well. Then you took it another step, and there's a running theme of always wanting to help vets, and so you created
sure.
this nonprofit called the Veterans Housing Organization.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. What does it do?
Well,
What inspired you for that?
well, it all started when I was in real estate school, and I just found out there's a little niche in the system or a little loophole where I could really help out a lot of veterans from nationwide. Um, I actually stopped being a realtor after a while and focused just on that. Um, but basically, the Veterans Housing Organization creates a buffer in between lenders and real estate agents and the veteran. It's basically a second set of eyes making sure that they're being taken care of, they're not getting swindled, anything like that. Um, but the VHO is also completely self-sufficient when it comes to being able to give veterans donations. And we're talking thousands of dollars when they buy or sell a home. So yeah, I walked away from that a while ago. I mean, one, I saw Fight or Die, and decided to
Switch
completely
gears.
commit
Yeah.
myself to that. I mean, I had to, and you know, the lenders. I was always hounded by lenders and real estate agents. It seemed like I was getting 5 calls a day from people trying to take advantage and cash in on what I had been building, and it just drove me nuts. And myself, I wasn't making any money out of it, so it was so much work.
Yeah.
Yes, I had to walk away, but the VHO still is going on. My family is taking it over completely. It's still up and running,
Yeah.
and if you need help, to buy or sell property anywhere in the nation, they will help you out. It's vho.house, www.vho.house.
Yeah, it's an incredible organization. I mean, I participated. I took advantage, obviously, and it's an incredible organization. There's very few organizations out there for veterans that in the
There's
housing
there's
market,
plenty of them out there that claim to help veterans,
right?
but when you're dealing with that much money, it's no wonder why most of those organizations are complete crap. You really read in between the lines, and it just sickens me even to this day.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah,
very predatory in a lot of ways.
seriously it is.
No,
Yeah.
I even said because years before we met, I was trying to sell my house in Pennsylvania, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I was like Googling like veterans, basically a veterans housing organization, like something as a veteran to help me not get screwed over, and there was nothing. There was nothing. It was
Hmm.
just realtors in the area that are like, we're veteran friendly. Like, what does that even mean? Like you don't like normal people? Like what does that even mean? And so knowing that an organization like that exists and their sole purpose is to help veterans and keep them from getting screwed is it's a huge thing. So you created this awesome thing. And there was one more thing, and I just remembered, kind of touching on the 3D printing part of it. But I remember
Hmm.
I had another guy reach out to me, and he's a guy that very good friend of the show, David, who said he came to me, he's like, hey man, I'm trying to help this warrior. He's having some issues with gaming and doing these things, and he asked me, do you know anybody that does like the 3D printing stuff so we could help him? And I said, oh yeah, I know a guy, and I connected the two of you. And what was that all about? Like, how were you able to get involved with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, it's not completely new to me, to print something for medical purposes. But I never thought that I'd be printing something to help a veteran game. And one of the problem he came to me with was, the veteran could not feel anything in his hands anymore, from his fingers to his knuckles or something like that. So basically, I was able to design from his rough sketch a keyboard keys with backstops. So it's kind of hard to describe it. Maybe I can shoot you a quick picture, but yeah, I'll deal with that later. But basically, it's the backstop, so where he puts his fingers up against it, he can feel it all the way to his wrist.
Mm,
So, and he can roll over them. But within 2 hours or so, I designed something and printed it out, and I think I'm going to be able to help him. But
that's
other
awesome.
than that, I was able to print out 2,000 masks for
Right,
people,
right.
uh, the face shields for police, firefighters, and whatnot. And but yeah, I really think uh, that a lot of people are starting to see the positive things for having a 3D printer.
Yeah.
So within the next 10 years or so, it wouldn't surprise me if everybody had a 3D printer in their house.
Yeah, and hopefully the because I've seen as the techno because again these things were crazy expensive to start out with. The materials were crazy expensive, but we've definitely seen the price drop quite a bit as the technology gets better and cheaper and more available. So they're actually pretty reasonably priced nowadays, and I've even seen like the next iteration is like not just 3D printing, but now there's like laser etching at home and engraving at home and like
Hmm.
all these machines that do these very specific tasks that are now compact and lightweight and easy to use. So that's pretty awesome. Dave actually just jumped in the chat and said, "Tell him we're still waiting on Steel Series to get back to me with the actual key." So
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah, so uh, inside joke, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, no, man. I really enjoyed this chat. Thank you so much for coming on. Honest to God, you're like everyone, you're not without your faults. We're none of us are perfect, but you
Right.
are an incredibly insightful guy. You're a smart guy, someone who is more often than not I've seen put like your first thought is how can I help the veteran? How can I help other veterans? In everything you've done, and even I don't even think we touched on it, but the whole idea behind doing the row was to honor veterans and that raise awareness for the 22, right? The 22 veterans that commit suicide a day, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. It's raise suicide awareness
Yeah,
and to proactively combat veteran suicide. Yeah,
fantastic, man. That's it's
doing a lot of good things, and more things are coming in. That we're doing each
that's
year. It seems.
so awesome. I'm so proud to be your friend. I'm so proud that of what you're doing. I can't wait to cheer you on and support the team. Is there any way that because I know financially is a big part of it. Is there any way that if there's anybody listening that wants to contribute to your row, is there any way that they can
Yeah,
be part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to usvetro.org or fightordie.org. It'll take you to the same place, and you can make a donation directly there. And we're actually having a online fundraiser now for anybody that's into the fitness community. You can sign up to row, run, bike, anything, and build your own team and raise funds for us yourself.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. And fight or die. I just want to make clear it's not OR, it's like an oar from the boat. Fight
OAR. Yep.
OAR or fight or die. Fight OAR die. Which I thought was a great, great rowing pun. Fantastic. Kudos to the guys that came up with that. I think it's a great job. But thank you, Chad, once again for coming on. I definitely want to have you guys, you and the team on as we get closer to the time of the rowing. And yeah, it's been an absolute honor, my friend. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. We are gonna go to a short break. Hang on there. Don't drop off just yet. But we're gonna go to a short break, and guys, we'll be back with more Pop Culture Warrior right after this. Shots.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
It's Friday night and I'm feeling low, and you're the reason that I do so. I'll keep on drinking till I comatose, or I pass out on the floor. You got me staring out the window, 8 hours late and you're a no-show. Where I'm from, that's called a no-go. I guess I should have known. I'm sleeping with one eye open, hoping you make it whole. You're always on my mind, but right here, right now, I'm better without you. I've had this for some time, but right now I know that I'm better on my Remember when we used to lay in bed and talk the night away? Today it feels like you have nothing left to say. I pack my bags and collect my things. Take what you want, but you can't have me. I'm keeping my heart under lock and key wherever I may roam. Sleeping with one eye open, hoping you make it whole. You're always on my mind, but right here, right now, I'm better without you. I've had this for some time, but right now I know that I'm better on my own. You and me are heading for a disaster. I cannot ignore. I'm moving forward, you're moving backwards. I can't take anymore. So come on, you're always on my mind, but right here, right now, I'm better without you. You're always on my mind, but right here, right now, I'm better without you. I've had this for some time, but right now I know that I'm better on my own.
up and fading out. Cirrus shapes I found blow me away. Van Allen right around, pushing through. Skin is brown. Nature has us trapped in fear, so I get lost in sound. I wonder if you'll ever know why I am the way I am. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Constellation theme, mapping stars that are meant to be. Geminis are free of suicidal kings. This misty maze of me, so obvious yet never seen. Feeling though the fog will lift to find me lost at sea. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Myself and I am so lost, it's beautiful, far away from life. But I want your visible feeling to be mine. Oh, I just don't get it. When will your heart beat with my
Call the show now at 415-889-8367. The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Welcome back. We are back. We got a couple more stories for you guys, and then we will release you back into the wild. Radar, real quick, what'd you think of our boy Chad, man?
I love it, dude. I fucking love it.
How
love it.
insane is that he's willingly choosing to row across the Atlantic?
I'm gonna say this, and for those who don't know, CQ and I are both paratroopers, right?
Airborne?
I'm sitting. Well, we know this. But one of my buddies was like, I remember I was doing something, and I was doing something kind of dumb. I think we were like fucking doing something with fire ants. It's a long story. Anyway, me and another guy who were paratroopers were doing these we're fucking with fire ants and like seeing how long we could hold our hand on the fire ant pile and stuff, doing dumb shit. And he's like, "You fucking paratroopers are always doing the dumbest fucking things."
True.
Yeah, and I'm just like, it's like an extension of that. I mean, it's not like dumb. Like it's fucking okay. Holding your hand on fire ant pile is fucking dumb, right? I get that. It's fucking stupid.
It's a challenge.
I won. What's up? But I mean, we're like always pushing ourselves. We're pushing the boundaries. So people are like, oh, they're fucking. When we make fun of legs, it's not like we're just making fun of legs because we're better than them, but we're always pushing ourselves. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think that kind of wears off on you. Like you learn that, and you keep doing that. And I think that's something that's maybe a little bit special when you have a beret on like that.
That's right. That
I
maroon.
don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Not everyone can pull off that maroon. You know what I'm saying?
I heard that. But could you? Okay, I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 next week, right? And I smoked for 20 years, and I got blowed up, and like I don't work the way I used to work, but I still like that's just even.
What I think,
I could row.
Could you, if given the opportunity to train, right? And obviously, you know, with the funding, because you know, training is a big part of it is having the funding to do it. But if you had those, if those weren't the obstacle, do you think you could do this, rise to this occasion, to this challenge?
I'll tell you. I'll break the news here. Okay. There is a, you know, I've told you that I've got big into mountain biking, right, in the last about last year or so.
Sure.
And that's come with my quitting smoking and doing all my other shit and like trying to be a healthier person, right? There's a race, and it's called the Dakota 5-0, and it's a 50-mile mountain bike race up and down some of the biggest mountains we have out here. I want to do that next year, and I'm kind of training to do that. Like I'm riding my bicycle about 100 to 150 miles a month. That's what I average.
Right on.
So, could I accomplish a 50-mile bicycle race? I hope so. Could I row for like 2 months straight, 2 hours on, 2 hours off? Maybe. Given all the time to train and everything else, man, it'd be tough though. That's a fucking tough one. And I think there's a reason more people have been to space and have pulled that off.
They don't have to row to space.
It'd probably be easier for my fat ass to row to space. It's just, it's obviously not impossible. People are doing it.
Right.
People have done it. People continue to do it. It just seems like it's such a difficult proposition. If my buddies, it'd probably be a thing where we're all fucking sit around drunk one night. My buddies like, "Oh, you want to row across the Atlantic?" I'm like, "Fuck, I bet I can." And then I'd be signed up.
It's
for
such
it.
it's such a veteran thing, don't you think? Like such a veteran thing, and then on top of that, such an airborne thing to always answer like, "Could you?" Maybe. Like there's never. It's like, could you fight a dinosaur hand to hand? You're like, maybe. I think given the right circumstances, and you know, if I got the drop on him, and you know, it's just such a veteran answer. Like there's never a impossible scenario. You know what I mean? It's like. Right. We won't go out and be like, yeah, I'd kill it, and you know. But it's always like, yeah, maybe I think I could.
Yeah, probably could. I'm pretty sure about it.
You know, could you do this thing you've never done before and never trained? Maybe, right? You know, if I a couple rip-its and you know, the quick bender and like, yeah, I probably knock it out. But anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, Chad's a special dude, man. I really enjoyed having him on. And we got a question from Mike going, is there anything with movies going on? So, all right, we'll hit a couple more stories and then we will pack it in for the night. A couple more good stories for you guys. So first off, let's switch over to, oh, that was weird. TV news. Heath says there are more airplanes in the ocean than submarines in the sky. That's a goddamn good quote right there. More airplanes in the ocean than submarines in the sky. I would have to agree with you. That is a 100% fact. So in TV news, there was, were you aware that this show on YouTube happened called Cobra Kai, which is a sequel, a 30 years later sequel to like the original Karate Kid? Were you aware of this?
Yes.
Okay. So on, it was YouTube Red or YouTube Originals, whatever it was, the paid subscription service for YouTube. You could watch Cobra Kai, which was the 30-year sequel of the original Karate Kid. They did season 1, they did season 2, and then Netflix bought the rights, so starting season 3, the show would be on Netflix. So that was great news. We still don't have an announcement yet for the premiere of season 3, but just announced is that the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai will be available on Netflix starting August 28th. So if you've always been wanting to check it out but you didn't have the special YouTube service, now you'll be able to check out seasons 1 and 2 of Cobra Kai on Netflix starting August 28th. So very cool. I checked out the first episode when it was free and didn't see anything else after that because I'm not going to pay for YouTube. But I do steal Netflix from a friend, so I will be checking out seasons 1 and 2. What about you?
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. My kids have seen it.
Really?
Yeah, they watched it. The boys did,
nice.
And it's all right. It's okay. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't like anything to write home about. I think it wasn't horrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a YouTube budget, so I can't imagine it's a lot of money.
No, you could tell it was kind of lower, but I mean,
Yeah.
but they did well. It wasn't trash.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you could tell that just like the production value wasn't quite up to snuff.
Well, hopefully now with that Netflix money, they'll be making it rain. Making it
But I
rain.
mean, but the story was sound. The acting wasn't horrible. It wasn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of feel like it was geared towards kids a little bit.
Yeah, which
Maybe
is
that's 'cause of the
funny.
budget.
Well, and it's funny because it's a 30-year-old property that like most kids are not going to be like, I remember the Karate Kid, like, but it makes sense to make, mass appeal. They're going to aim it towards a younger audience. And
Well,
the
it
original,
kind of,
yeah.
but it kind of, at least my kids, pushed them towards watching the original Karate Kids. So
Nice.
there's that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In more TV news and more Netflix news, and this is one I'm excited for, and I'm going to need you to be on board and be very supportive. Okay? Because if you are combative in any way, I'm going to take offense. Just putting it out there now. Okay? You ready for this? You ready? All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a picture to go along with it too. So here we go. Boom. It's official. Splinter Cell is coming to Netflix. The beloved action game franchise is being given a TV adaptation at Netflix, and it's thanks to writer Derek Kolstad, which most people are not going to know the name, but what if I told you he's the writer behind all of the John Wick movies? Okay? So Variety just reported on Thursday that Netflix and Ubisoft have teamed up for the Kolstad project, which will be an animated original series for Netflix. And Kolstad will serve as writer and executive producer. Now, this won't just be like a one and done kind of situation, because Netflix has reportedly already given it a 2-series, 16-episode commitment. So you're getting at least 2 seasons, 16 episodes each season. It's going to be a stylized adult animation. No other details have been reported at this time. But I am super excited. For those that don't know, Tom Clancy began this Splinter Cell series back in 2002, which was, it went on to spawn 6 sequels, 7 novels. The original game follows the former Navy SEAL, Sam Fisher, who was recruited by the NSA to work for the 3rd Echelon Division. Splinter Cell has been a hit series since its inception, but the franchise hasn't really produced a new game in about 7 years. The last Splinter Cell game, which we've talked about before, was Splinter Cell Blacklist, which was in 2013. There have been numerous rumors and reports about the future of the franchise. Nothing official has ever been revealed. Now, talks of a new Splinter Cell game have been especially increased lately because Sam Fisher popped up in the last 2 Ghost Recon games. So there's always been that kind of like, oh, he's still alive, he's still doing things, and so yeah. So what say you, sir, to a animated Sam Fisher led Splinter Cell Netflix 2-season series?
I'll watch it.
Right?
I'm not gonna be a naysayer on it.
This is,
you know how I feel about that.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Don't fuck it up. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all don't fuck it up. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean,
and that's how I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna leave it there.
They've got a lot going for them. Okay, I'm always nervous when these things happen because, let's be honest, more often than not, they suck. They're not good. But a couple things going for it is it's the writer that did the John Wick films, which, I mean, given that the John Wick films aren't exactly known for their story and plot, they're known for their goddamn awesome action. But still, he's got good credit there. And Netflix, as of recent, has really given life to video game property. Look at what they did with The Witcher. A lot of people loved what they did with The Witcher. So they're not strangers to making good content based on video game adaptations. So
you know what I'm going to say on this right now, though?
Go for it.
Is I think these are the steps Netflix needs to make to stay viable against things like Disney Plus and HBO Now and all of these other. Now that the big guys have gotten into the streaming services, this is what Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of those, they need to put out more good quality content to stay viable against the big boys.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
So
Agreed.
I'm pulling for him. I think I would give it a shot. I don't think it's gonna suck balls. I think it'd be all right.
And
But
and what are you hearing that it's going to be animated? Does that make you more or less intrigued by the treatment?
mm,
Honestly.
it depends on how animated it is.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna say like how
They said
because there's like
adult
realistic kind of
animation.
animation, and then there's like
Yeah.
anime, crazy, ridiculous animation. Like I think to me the story needs to maintain some sort of realism,
Hmm.
right? And to do that, you have to have kind of some realistic how this guy looks right now. That you
Yeah.
the one you have up.
Yeah.
If it's like that kind of animation
Mhm.
and they keep it what what I'm envisioning in my head is like a video game commercial, like a Call of Duty commercial, the
Mm.
trailers and all that,
So
where they have
very
the very
CGI
good.
heavy.
Yes.
Hmm.
If they have it like that, I think it'll be fucking spot on. I think it'll be perfect.
Mm. I like it.
So that's where I see it. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I was definitely surprised because it seems the obvious way would be live action. It kind of seemed
Mhm.
like the more obvious because this isn't fantastical. This is a very gritty spy, stealthy. So it just seemed, you know, like, well, why not live action? If you can do The Witcher in live action, what's holding you to do the spy series? But I said, okay, I gave it a second because that was a red flag for me initially. But when I thought about it, you know, it's different. It allows you to do certain things that you might not be able to do in live action. So I'm intrigued. I like you, I definitely don't want a bad episode of like G.I. Joe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I don't want like it's got to be really quality, well done. I feel like the writing's going to be there, the story's going to be there, the action's going to be there. Um, it's got to have a really. I'm thinking like I want like Jack Ryan level of intensity and story and intrigue, and just give that to me in this universe. And I think it could be a hit. I think it could be.
I think it could be as well. I'm I'm more than medium towards it. I think I'm not super excited about it. Like I'm not gonna fucking mark
Right.
my calendar and shit. But I really am. I think I think it has a lot of potential, and I really am. The more I think about it, I really think it's gonna be decent. And towards the end, maybe you'll be able to do more because I don't know what kind of budget they're working with.
Right.
They may actually be able to do more, you know, action scenes and big
Yeah.
explosions and
Bigger
shit.
set pieces because it's animated.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's I kind of feel like, and this is me, but I kind of feel like more realistic animation is on the horizon.
Yeah.
I think that that's going to be a new kind of, I'm going to say untapped genre because there's some of it, but it kind of seems like when people hear animation, they think like kids shows and stuff
Yeah.
where I think that could do a lot. And this might be kind of a segue into that especially for Netflix. But if we're doing, oh, what's that Spider-Man one? That's still pretty,
Oh yeah.
pretty comical,
Yeah, it was very
but it almost
cartoony and
has to
everything,
be
but
being comic book characters.
yeah, it was supposed to be like a live action comic book. That was the intent of that. But the technology behind it, you ramp up the realism, and I think it would look pretty damn good. I agree with you.
Yep. So I mean that I think would open up, especially to kind of I'm not gonna say teenage audience
Mm-hmm. Young
because
adult.
now those kids are 19, 20, 25.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of 15 to 25, that young, especially male kind of group. I mean, Disney's making a killing
Yeah.
on the revisiting their classics, which is very much, in my opinion, focused towards women and children, right?
Right.
That kind of young male, young adult male demographic has kind of been untouched, except for the comic book stuff. You know, your Avengers and all that stuff, your Marvel. And so this may be a new way to break into those kids who grew up playing video games, who grew up watching anime, grew up, or have fully embraced animation as a legitimate source. I think you get people like my dad's age, or even my age, a lot of people my age, you think animation, you think kid show.
You're gonna
Smurfs.
disregard it immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where it could be, it's a very viable genre to that. And I think that with those kids, as more of them get older, I think it'd really be cool there's a lot of opportunities there, and I hope they really expand into that. That'd be cool.
Agreed. Very much agreed. All right. So one quick. Oh, this is breaking news. So I really had to cover it. So let's shoot over to movie news. One quick story to touch on, and this is breaking news as of literally like maybe 40 minutes before we went on air. Something we've talked about a lot, and it's the movies coming back into theaters. So specifically Mulan, which has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. They just announced, good news, bad news situation. Good news, they've just announced Disney is going to release Mulan on Disney Plus. They just confirmed it on an investor call literally hours ago, that Mulan will stream on Disney Plus as soon as September 4th. So 1 month from today. The bad news is they're doing this via a premium access that will cost you an additional $30. So it's in essence, they're releasing it to video on demand. They're just hiding it behind the paywall of Disney Plus. So, in order for those that didn't have Disney Plus, then you couldn't just video on demand it. You have to get the Disney subscription and then video on demand it behind that buffer. So they will release it on September 4th using the new premium access feature. There was only a few details that were actually given, but the cost was discussed, and users will spend $29.99. And it's going to work just like any other video on demand service. There's going to be more details released soon. The shocking news did come as a surprise, but it also kind of made sense. Disney just released their third quarter earnings, which were not earnings due to COVID-19. The company reports it has suffered $3 billion of loss because of the pandemic's effect on the business. $3 billion. So this premium model for Disney Plus might help mitigate the box office loss that's gonna happen if and when they release Milan to theaters. They did say that they would release Milan to select theaters, right, depending on COVID situations and where hotspots and things. But according to Bob Chapek, who's the CEO, Milan will be available in theaters in select markets with widely open theaters. No specific areas were named, but markets like Japan have reopened their theaters in stages within like the last month or so. So to give you kind of an idea, Disney Plus already has 60 million paid users. And so those are all potential customers for that purchase of Milan on video on demand. And that doesn't even account for all the people that are non-subscribers who are going to jump on board just so they can watch, that movie with an additional cost. So, do you have Disney Plus? I forget.
Yeah, I have Disney Plus.
Okay.
I do.
So on September 4th, are you on the boat that would pay the additional $30 to watch Milan?
A couple questions for it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that $30 just to watch Mulan?
As far as I'm aware, yes. That is a video on demand, $30 for Milan.
Ask the wife.
Run it by the missus. Yeah. Well,
Because I'm gonna say this. Okay, if it's a $30 one-time charge and you like own it, kind of like you're buying the DVD. You know, like Amazon will do that. You spend so much money, you spend $30. You like basically buy the digital copy of it. I could be coerced into that. Maybe if it's just to watch it for like a 24-hour period, like you do like a pay-per-view video or whatever. Probably not. I don't know, man.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this. Now, you're obviously in a very different part of the country than I'm in, but you have you and the kids and the wife. What would, let's say you went to theaters pre-COVID, what would that run you, not counting concessions and things like that, just ticket sales? What would that cost you to see that movie in theaters?
Figure $10 a head.
So total,
probably. I think it's about $10-12 a head, depending if you go to like a matinee. I think it's like $8 just for ticket. $8 if you just go to matinee. $10 or $12 for an evening show.
So you're in that $30 to $40 range, right?
Oh, son, no. Maybe me and the wife. Me and the wife went to be like $25. We'll say, right?
Right.
But if I took all my kids, me and the wife, and I mean, so we have 6 kids.
Oh Jesus! I keep forgetting you have 6. Oh my God!
Right.
So, given that,
it would be a steal,
right?
We don't. I mean, half the kids wouldn't go, honestly.
Right. 3
of them, I could see wouldn't go to watch Mulan in a theater. They're old. They're older. They don't want to be in public.
I mean, it's you're not cool anymore. So we got Mike Larson in the chat saying it cost him, his wife, and his 2 girls $50 in just tickets to go see that movie. So when you really boil it down, you know, you are saving money paying $30, that one-time fee. You know, it sucks for, like, let's say me and my wife, who my son's too young. Like, we wouldn't take him to see Milan. He's too young. But shit, I'll invite all the neighbors over. Like, everybody pay $2 a head. Invite all the neighbors over on my big screen TV, and I'll cover the cost for Milan.
Well, see, like what I was gonna say is if they had some kind of premium service, right? Where, say, you got early access to The Mandalorian, or whatever, you get some more exclusive content or whatever. I don't know that I'd pay $30 a month for it, but I would upgrade because I get mine free because we have Verizon. Right. So we have like a year free. I think that's up in like December 1st or some shit. So I don't even know how much is Disney Plus a month without it. Like $5-10.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I got the super early founding member pack where I paid for 3 years up front, and at that price, it basically boiled down to like $3 a month for the first 3 years. So I missed out on that free year. They didn't announce that until after I paid, but yeah, so I'm paying $3 a month for the next 2.5 years. But yeah, I think it's somewhere in the $5 to $10 range, somewhere in there a month. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, it would be great to see them say, like, okay, for the next couple movies, because even like, Black Widow is a Disney movie, so let's say every movie that's going to release in theaters during this a once in a lifetime pandemic access, where every movie that gets released during the pandemic time or for the next year, let's say, you'll have access to it. I mean, I would pay an extra, I don't know, $20 a month if I got instant access to movies that were either just released in theaters or even even 2 weeks after released in theaters, being able to get it on Disney Plus. I could be convinced to pay that. I think
I probably could be too. I mean, if it's something, like it came out a month even after it comes out in theaters, like, depending on the, obviously like the new Star Wars or some shit like that. But I mean, something like Mulan. Mulan's not going to be a Star Wars or Avengers or some shit like that. I don't think. I don't think it's going to quite.
I think it'll have a bigger impact at home than it would have had in the theaters. I think more people just craving new content are going to gobble that up. My concern is that it's going to happen. There's no way to fight against it. Someone's going to pay $30 on it and rip it, and that thing's going to be all over the internet. You know what I mean? Like they're going to take a hit on just the fact that people are going to illegally download it. And I think that's part of the reason why it's not $9.99, $12.99, $19.99. I think $30 because they're going, for every one person that pays to see it, we need to cover the 3 people that don't pay to see it, you know?
Right.
So it's unfortunate, but I think it's the nature of the business, and they've got to, you know, recoup some. I mean, again, they lost $3 billion. That's a lot of money. That is, there are countries that don't have that kind of profit in a year, and we're talking about a company, you know. So yeah.
Well, that's where I'm kind of like, man, I just don't know like how long they can keep this up.
Yeah.
Sorry about it, but
yeah. It's true. It's true, and that's why they got to have some of this stuff releasing soon. But all right,
well, especially when they're sitting on it, like
yeah, go ahead.
They've been sitting on it for how long? Is the original release date was what?
Yeah, it was like March.
Fucking June.
No, it was March. Yeah. So end of March originally. Then it was late May. Then it was mid-June. Then it was August, and then they just pulled it completely. So it's,
yeah, you got it. They got to start doing, and it's not. I mean, because there's going to be kind of a stagnation too, and so you're bottlenecking all this content that is ready to be released.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing if like we didn't
more.
Exactly. It's one thing if they didn't like, well, we weren't able to finish, right? We're still missing a couple shots, or we're still missing whatever. Like it's one thing, but you know, like Black Widow is done. So many movies are done, they just can't release it because theaters aren't open everywhere.
Yep.
And yeah, I agree with you. They gotta start, you know, release it. Release it.
Because you look at Mulan. Mulan is not going to be up for an Academy Award. Sorry about it. It's just not.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Maybe. Never know. In a year that there's nothing else releasing, I mean, maybe they've got a solid chance.
It's like how I got promoted to corporal when I was in the Marine Corps. I was the only one to show up for the board. Guess who made corporal? What's
there you
up?
go. There you go.
But I mean, like, there was some releases before the Rona came out in March when that really kind of took hold. So there's some yet.
God forbid if Bloodshot gets a nomination just because it's one of the few movies that were in theaters. Oh God, that movie.
There was
Sonic. Yeah, Sonic. Yeah, Sonic came out, and Onward was. I saw Onward because of Disney Plus, and I thought it was a phenomenal movie, a great Disney movie that unfortunately didn't do well because 2 weeks into its release, 3 weeks into its release, you know, the COVID hit. So, yeah. But all right, it's getting kind of late. One more story, and one of your favorite topics to talk about. We got a little bit of Tiger King news for you. You ready for this?
Yeah, fucking Radar Exotic.
Oh, yeah, Radar Exotic. I love it. We're going to get you a shirt. So, an unannounced inspection of the Greater Winewood Exotic Animal Park by the USDA has revealed, surprisingly, some unsettling findings. So the roadside attraction, which was featured prominently in the Netflix series Tiger King, which was showed, you know, then owner Joe Exotic and his questionable practices with the large cats and other assorted animals. So the park is currently under the management of Jeff Lowe. We know they're losing it and they're going to be gone, but this report that came out end of June 22nd, it uncovered numerous animal welfare violations, as well as several injured and sickly animals that were kept in dangerous, dismal living conditions. The issue of the animals' well-being was touched on throughout the 6-part series, particularly by Carol Baskin, fucking Carol Baskin, who that bitch Carol Baskin, who ran a big cat sanctuary and was very vocal about the terrible conditions. Exotic, meanwhile, is obviously still serving his 22-year prison sentence. So the report echoes basically what a lot of people that were recently visiting encountered while on the trip. Um, this guy who recently went on the thing, Will Mayo, he recently went to the thing, and himself, he's like, I'm no animal activist, but he said that the zoo is basically looks like an abandoned house's overgrown backyard, and that everything just looks shriveled and dry and not taken care of, including an animal that was just leaning against the fence because it seemed like it didn't even have the energy to walk around. So this is what the USDA's report found. In regards to wolves, a pair of old arthritic wolves were found that apparently never received proper bedding or medication that had desperately been needed. In regards to lions, another discovery was a lethargic lion cub that was suffering from severe fly strike. I don't know what that is, as well as a respiratory illness that was left untreated. With bears, there was also some malnutritious, anxious bears that were exhibiting neurotic behaviors conducive to captive psychosis. And then, of course, there are tiger corpses, numerous of which were also found rotting in an open pit. Now, this obviously comes after news recently where they were suspected human remains found, but it turned out to just be animal remains. So kind of obvious that things aren't looking good for the zoo. And while I'd love to say that, like, well, it makes sense, this guy knows he's losing the zoo and he's trying to open the other one, and so not going to be taking, great care of what you're going to lose. But these conditions don't seem to have popped up recently. These seem to be kind of an ongoing issue that a lot of people have complained about for some time now, and one of the reasons why they're getting shut down. So it's a little sad to hear that these animals are being abused this way, right?
Yeah, but okay, I'm not disagreeing with that aspect of it. I'm an animal dude. Like, I got cats and dogs and kids and like all that stuff, right? So I understand taking care of animals. I'm a big fan of animals. Some that don't live in my house, but still a big fan of them, right? I don't like seeing animals malnourished, destitute, whatever. But this is like you telling me that Waffle House doesn't have the best fucking record with the FDA.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, well, they didn't do too good on their health inspection. I don't give a shit. It's fucking Waffle House. You know what I mean? Like,
you get what you pay for, basically.
Yeah. You look at fucking Joe Exotic and Jeff Lowe and everyone else in that fucking show. You're not going to tell me that they're the best cleaners of tiger cages and shit.
Or the best
like
people in
general. Half the fucking show was them joking about feeding them tigers Walmart meat. You know what I mean?
Expired Walmart meat. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit, there was the one thing where they found out they were feeding it to the humans too. They were putting it on the pizza. They were feeding that expired to the humans. So, I mean, that it's not surprising. It's definitely not surprising.
It's sad. It doesn't make it less sad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But okay, like the corpses rotting in a pit. In my mind, I grew up farm ranch country, having your bone pile. You know what I mean? I'm sure they got something like that because a lot of those animals are rescues that they get from people. Some of them probably aren't in the best shape when they fucking get them in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, not a situation where I wouldn't let Jeff Lowe babysit my daughters. You know what I mean?
Right. This is a guy that was sneaking in tiger cubs. He was sneaking in tiger cubs to like Vegas penthouses. Like, this is obviously not a guy who makes good life choices.
None of them were. That's why it was a good show.
Yeah.
Not a single person on that fucking show wakes up in the morning and does anything smart. You know what I mean?
Mike's in the chat and he says, why don't they just arrest him? And I think that's a great question. I mean, he's in charge. They're obviously violating God knows how many laws or ethical treatment of animal. Like, I don't know. Is it to a point that they're like, well, shit, they're not going to have it for another couple weeks. Why even bother? Like, I don't know. Like, with don't you think with this level of national attention, like, how is it more of these guys aren't in jail or I mean, I just don't know. I don't know.
Well, like I said, what kind of condition were these animals in when they got them? Is
Right.
one question that I'm going to throw out right away.
Right, but also remember the majority of those, especially the tigers. Remember, they were breeding them nonstop because they said the tiger was it the cub petting was like the biggest draw. It was what brought in the most money. But after 6 weeks, that tiger was no good for the petting anymore. So they just kept breeding them and kept breeding them because that's where the money
Tigers
was.
are endangered. Like, let them out. Okay, well, you're
Just
over
let
6 weeks. Here, fucking kick it out. No,
like
tigers are
was it
endangered
in
anymore.
Oklahoma,
Fucking
right?
win-win.
Just let them out. The new home of tigers is Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah. No, I don't get it. I don't know. Heath says I'd fight a bear, bare knuckles, mano y mano, not a grizzly or a polar bear though. What is it like? A bear like is in the sense of like the big gay guy with the lots of hair, that kind of bear. I wouldn't even want to fight one of those guys, honestly. Big dudes.
Like a Care Bear.
All right, yeah. So that's yeah, kind of a bummer, but anytime I see Tiger King news, I like to pull it aside for you.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this story should be coming to an end pretty soon here once they lose the property, and then although I feel like
then it's gonna, but they already have their new zoo set up and stuff, so I'm kind of
yeah, I feel like there's gonna be a lot more to come. A lot more to come.
hopefully this never goes away.
Yeah, I feel like this is, yeah. I mean, especially, and we know they're doing like the what is it the celebrity Hollywood remake where they're doing like the Joe Exotic with like isn't it with Nicolas Cage, and then what's that one of the comedian chicks that's doing the Carol Baskin story. So yeah, I feel like we're gonna be we got Joe Exotic stuff to talk about for quite a while. So
Hopefully, I can't wait. I cannot fucking wait.
never ending. But alrighty, well, I think that just about reaches us to the end of the show for today, this week. Radar, you want to tell them what we got? Tell them what the audience
Hell
gets.
yeah. I've been waiting for that. Well, I mean, we're done though. Makes me sad. But you have been listening to Pop Culture Warrior with CQ and myself for Radar Exotic. I love it. I'm gonna start going by that. Anyway, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, is a Donza day of no scheduled activities. And then Thursday night, you've got Sorenstein, Ice and Spanky coming at you with all the big Army news. Got all kinds of stuff from the National Guard Reserve, all that good stuff. Man, I'm excited for that show because Ice has been gone. He's been on sabbatical.
That's right.
So
He's back.
They're gonna have a lot to talk about, a lot to cover from things they've missed. It's gonna be a good show. And then Friday and Saturday, both nights off for us. Saturday is the beginning of the official beginning of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally and Races, held in Sturgis, South Dakota. So if you're in the area, stop by. You got a picture of me the other day. You find a Radar, I'll give you like a high five or something. That's your consolation present. I see. Sunday night is Kicking It with Cause and Owl Team Old will be bringing you all their fun, lighthearted stuff. They're got an awesome show. Check them out on Sundays. And then Monday night, the Monday edition with Ice and Flash. They'll be bringing you all the latest and greatest up-to-minute regular news coming back to us on Tuesday.
That's right. And next week, I'm really excited. We have Gary Kissel joining us. He is a first, he's a military veteran, and he's a phenomenally talented artist and has done a number of comic book covers. He's done just a ton of work. He created a whole comic book series based on a disabled veteran, a guy who lost his leg and becomes kind of like, Punisher-esque, like, but in a very real kind of way, and very gritty and true to life. It's great. We're going to have a phenomenal conversation and talk about a bunch of pop culture stuff because he runs also a pop culture show. So should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that.
Is his character called Cool Arrow?
Cool Arrow. No.
Yeah, because That's what I told you that. Like the Mexican roofers gave me a superhero nickname, Cool Arrow.
That's right. That's right. That one's
Yeah,
that one's
like,
just
hey,
you.
Cool Arrow.
That one's just you, buddy. That's all you, bud.
It's
But yeah, so that's gonna be a really
right
fun conversation. We have a lot of other surprises coming up down the road. I don't want to tip our hat yet until we've got people confirmed, but some pretty cool and exciting news to share with you guys, hopefully soon. So, as always, thank you guys for joining us. I really need like a cool sign off. Somebody give me advice. I need a cool sign off. Something to be like, see you in the stars, or I don't know, something.
That sounded gay.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible.
horrible.
I gotta, Radar. You write me an outro.
Yeah, hey, Culero.
for me and Coolero. See you guys next week. All right, guys, be good to each other. We'll see you next week. Shots.